Good day, everyone. I hope you're having a good time. Uh, we we had a slight pre-stream disaster today, where I was, as I often am, right before stream, headed out to my deck, and I noticed that our one deck chair that we currently have, because we didn't have a deck before, just fell over, and so I went to pick it up. And then upon picking it up, it leaked black liquid all over, that like got over my pants and socks and all over the deck, and so I was like running around trying to handle that. So anyway, so that was an adventure. Uh, I'm trying to navigate to the voting thing, because to figure out if I can find out who voted for the puzzle that we're starting with today. By the way, this puzzle I have on screen is not the puzzle we're starting with today. I have a couple announcements first. There we go. Here is the puzzle we're starting with today. Here's the list of voters. I'll get to that in a second. So two announcements today. So the first is that I made this new puzzle called Emblem. Currently, it is only available on the zetamath Discord. I'm probably going to put it on LMD, I guess. My only hesitance is I don't really want to type out all the rules for it, but if you're sort of a regular to zetamath puzzles, you'll realize this is just all of my babies put together. So there's some Nabner lines, some 10 lines, a double arrow, and of course a single black dot, because how could there not be a single black dot? So this is admittedly, this puzzle is sort of pure self-indulgence to the absolute maximum, but people who've done it have seemed to enjoy it. So anyway, so if you want, you can head over to the zetamath Discord, and there is a link to it. And later, when Tristan is not dealing with the gigantic mess that I made on the deck, then Tristan can post a link in chat if you're so curious. But anyway, it's a good reason for you to go over to the zetamath Discord anyway. So that is good.
Do we have a bucket somewhere?
A bucket somewhere, like we have like a mop and bucket on the deck, or sorry, in the is it in the garage? I think it's in the garage or in the basement. And there's plenty of buckets in the garage.
Oh,
Uh, Alrighty. Uh, yes. So Corey, by the way, welcome Corey in chat. Says there was a talk about handcrafted Sudoku at the roguelike celebration yesterday, uh, which is awesome. I think I would be happy for you to post a link, but I think it will get moderated. But you can post the link over in the Discord, and eventually Tristan can get it over here, since he is our sort of de facto moderator, who can do that sort of thing. But yeah, I think that talk was by Tesseralis, or at least the setter that we around here know as Tesseralis, because Tesseralis, I believe, talked to me about it, and what would be a good idea. So that's awesome. We definitely want to circulate a link of that if possible. But again, it might be a second before we can actually get it. But if you throw it on our Discord link down below in the description, then we can certainly get it out there, because I would love to circulate that talk. And well, I want to see it myself, but I also want to see other people see it. So anyway, this puzzle is there, and yes, as David says, it does feature, and this is why the title, the zetamath emblem, the Z, that I tend to integrate into puzzles. So yeah, this is sort of like a greatest hits album, if you will. Yeah, it started as a pure 10 lines Nabner puzzle. That was my sort of original intention with it. But then, like, I was getting deductions, but they were a little bit. It wasn't going to be a super fun puzzle, we'll say, and so I decided sort of it'll be more fun if I just mix in a bunch of stuff. So I mixed in a bunch of stuff. So that is what we get. Uh, when do we get a letter or a line in the form of a zeta and not a z? Microstudy, at the very least, I want to say 90% sure it was Microstudy, has made me a puzzle with a zeta in the shape of a zeta. Maybe other people. Oh, certainly other people have too, because I think JC Godar gave me one. I've had a number of them. Yeah, I decided to make a salad bowl of it, because at least it seems like people tend to people tend to enjoy these sort of salad bowl puzzles. Uh, Playmaker has done the zeta symbol. That does not surprise me. So so excellent. Yeah, and by the way, welcome Corey. Regular recording watcher, but missed the lives. But anyway, great to have you here at the live thing. Are you a roguelike developer? Since you were at the roguelike conference, have you designed any roguelikes that I have heard of? Possibly. Uh, Caves of Kuda. Oh, cool. I have not played that, but I have heard of it and heard good things. That's really cool. Uh, well, welcome. I hope you enjoy this live experience. And I look forward to seeing Tesseralis' talk. So that was all announcement 1. Announcement 2 is that I, from time to time, do setting challenges, and I am going to give you the next setting challenge. So if you're not familiar with how setting challenges work, the way that setting challenges work is that I give you a specific prompt. And any of you who want to are allowed to design one puzzle, either together or separately, however you wish, that meets the prompt. And then I will have a series of streams where I will do the puzzles that people submit. So there'll be a submission thread over on the zetamath Discord for you to submit the puzzles for the prompt. As usual, I'll give you a lot of time so that you don't have to do something right off the bat. But the short, pithy version of what the challenge is I want puzzles that fall under the category Sudoku with a twist. And so by twist, I mean a twist to the actual rules of Sudoku. And so that is, it should not start with normal Sudoku rules apply, but nor should it start with like nothing at all like Sudoku rules apply. It should start with normal-ish Sudoku rules apply or something along those lines. So just let me give you a few examples of a few things that historically have fallen under this. So I would consider J. Dyer deconstructions. I would consider S cells. I would consider holes in the middle of the grid, like in Jello. All of these things I think would fall under the normal-ish Sudoku rules. But I encourage you to invent your own normal-ish Sudoku variant and think about what kind of puzzle you can make with it. Does normal chaos construction count? I don't know. It's close. But anyway, I'd like you to play around with it and ideally come up with some variation. But whatever you come up with, I'm sure it will be cool. But yeah, I mean, like in a sense, like a regular Sudoku almost counts. Like in terms of like that it's like, as Rank says, instead of 3x3 boxes, there's these irregularly shaped regions and you have to find them like but whatever. As pointed out in chat, Sudoku is probably not quite the thing I'm going for, because the Sudoku is like the exact opposite of every Sudoku rule applies, whereas here I'm not looking for that. It does not need to be a 9x9 grid. If you want to make the 7x12 Sudoku grid that chat was talking about a reality, earlier I was actually thinking about doing a like 6x9 puzzle. Certainly that works. Are these circles not purple? Are the circles pink? Maybe the circles are pink. Anyway, whatever you like. That is the challenge. So I will encourage you to think about that and to do something along those lines. Okay, so those are my announcements for today. I don't think I have any other announcements for today. And so then we are going to start with the puzzle that is most voted upon by our stream supporters. Hey, Carl. So Zeta merch one. Playmaker asks, when will there be zetamath merchandise? So we've tried out a few like various Zach affiliated t-shirts, and we've like ordered them. So like you've probably seen Tristan and I wearing Zach t-shirts. around the stream. However, so far, none of them have had the sort of durability that we would hope for in zetamath merchandise. So we have to figure out what to do with that, and B, we also have to decide, like, we have to make sure that the Zach representations that we use are not so close to the original Zach that we don't end up in court or anything. I don't think that'll be a big problem, but anyway, these are the two main obstacles for there being zetamath merchandise, is that we need to actually find like a place where it will work. Yeah, if we could sell Zachs as Zach merchandise, I suspect that will make the people who made the original Zach happy rather than sad. We'll look into it. And yes, do please take a moment to like the stream, and definitely. Definitely, by the way, also we are pleased to have new YouTube celebrity Ranks in chat, who has exploded in popularity lately. So congratulations, huge congratulations to Ranks from me, and I'm sure everyone in chat will congratulate Ranks as well on his success, which is awesome. He has a video now with 1 million views, which is great. So congratulations. That is really cool. Still need to cook up the Adoptal adventure. I would absolutely love an Adoptal adventure. Yes, that would be cool. I probably should not admit how many times I've tried to come up with like a version of Sudoku where there's letters instead of numbers, and some things are marked that they have to spell out words. But I've never quite managed to make it happen, aside from that one puzzle I have where the letters spell out words. But aside from that one puzzle, I have not really done that, and that wasn't sort of part of the rules. Anyway, so around here we start with the most voted on puzzle by supporters. So people who support at the windmill level or above get access to the list of all the puzzles we're considering. And people at the tier above that even get to sort of suggest puzzles that we throw in the list. But people get to then vote on whichever one they most want to see. By the way, Tristan is going to / did throw a bunch of new puzzles in the bucket. So even if you have voted, you can go in and look and see. You can maybe find some new puzzles to vote for as well. So this puzzle was voted for by the Cogito, Luda, Nell, Russ, Dorlir, David, and DDX. So thank you so much to all of you for your support. So let us dive into what this is. We may not actually get bet tree betting because, as I mentioned, Tristan is cleaning up the disaster that is our deck at the moment. I really have no earthly idea why the chair was covered in black ink all of a sudden. I am very confused by exactly what happened, but it was like literally minutes before stream. So we will find that out. All right. So we need to draw a loop in this grid, 1 cell wide, of orthogonally connected cells, which does not touch itself, not even diagonally. Is it non pareja? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the I'm not sure if it's French or not. So yes, no loop touchage, even diagonally. Although, as someone always points out, whenever this rule comes up, this loop is not considered to touch itself diagonally. It does look French, but also, because French is the language that I took the most of, I tend to just pronounce everything as though it were French, even when it is not. Okay. Oh, so if the L is pronounced, it's definitely not French. Yes, Tristan? Yes, what's up?
Where is the watering can?
It's in the garage. On the shelf with all the garden stuff. Okay. All right. So each digit. Okay. So there's it is one of these words that was French, but then got anglicized in a way that then people pronounce it like it's not that. Got it. All right. So each digit on the loop indicates exactly how many times that digit appears on the loop. Oh, great. Okay, so we have a circle loop basically. So if there's a 9 anywhere on the loop, that means there's 9 nines on the loop. If there's a 1 anywhere on the loop, that means there's 1 1 on the loop. So I guess that means there's a maximum of 45 digits on the loop in total, because the sum of the digits 1 through 9 is 45. The loop must pass through the bulb of every thermometer, and the thermometers are thermometers, because the digits need to increase from the bulb end. So this is the smallest digit, the second smallest digit, and the third smallest digit along these cells. Okay. So these cells are all on the loop. Oops. And some of these are even in corners, which is so kind. So a loop that goes through row 1, column 9 and moves orthogonally must move through there and there. And likewise up here. Likewise over here. And now I was wondering what exactly happened to the bulbs, but I was not going to make the bulbs the thermos self-conscious. I was trying not to make the thermos self-conscious about their bulbs, but MicroStudy has done that. Now, like, actually, because it can't touch itself diagonally or orthogonally, I can't do that either. So from here, I have to extend this way, and from here, I have to extend this way, and each of those happen. Okay, and now the loop has to come here, because if it doesn't come there, and if it goes here instead, now the loop definitely touches itself orthogonally, and that would be bad, so we do that. Okay, and now this cell is forbidden from being on the loop. And as soon as this cell's forbidden from being on the loop, this is now a corner. And all a corner means, when someone says a corner in a loop puzzle, is every cell in a loop needs to connect to 2 things. And a corner means there's only 2 things it could connect to. And so it has to do that. And now, again, this thing has to go there, because otherwise we would have that issue. Now, funnily enough, this loop can't come here. This is adorable. If the loop were to come here, it would now have to take both of these cells and the loop would branch. So I can't do that. So the loop has to turn there. But again, now if the loop turns anyway, but directly into this cell, then we have the problem that now the loop touches itself orthogonally. So the loop definitely goes that way. The loop can't come here, because that would be the loop touching itself in an inappropriate way. Same there, same there. By the way, I'm just going to mark those. And so now this has become a corner, and now these have to touch. I wonder if this is going to be a you draw the entire loop before you do anything else puzzle. Now it can't come here, because that would be touching itself orthogonally, so those connect. I will get rid of these X's once I start doing anything that involves numbers, by the way. This cell over here, by the same logic, Josh points out, has to go that way. Okay, so we've got all of that. Okay, so now we might actually have to think about digits, maybe, possibly. I certainly don't need to have that X there anymore. Because we've got a lot of cells now on this. Okay. Right. MicroStudy points out if this comes down, now these two would touch orthogonally unless we finish the loop, which I cannot do. So ergo, I must go there, and then by loop touchage rules, I must go there. So we've got that. Now, an interesting thing about these thermos is there's at most 1 and at most 2 in the bulbs of the thermos because of the way the puzzle works. So that is quite interessante. Oh, welcome to new subscriber. Poma? Is it Poma? Welcome. Great to have you here. Let's see. So here, if this goes here, it would continue across there. But I don't know if that is acceptable. Row 9, column 8 always goes left. Roman. Roman. Okay, right. Okay. Right, because if this doesn't go left, then it goes that way and that way, right? This is the 2 of 3 rule for loop puzzles. If a cell can only go 3 ways in a loop puzzle, but one of those combinations is forbidden, then it has to go the other way. So this combination, it is being pointed out by Paul Fly, is forbidden because it would immediately force that. So therefore, we need to go that way. And as soon as we go that way, then we grab this. Okay, now here's an interesting thought. If this connects across, that puts all of 1 through 9 on the loop. In which case, then I could put no more 1s on the loop anywhere. Jennifer's pointing out that actually I already have a whole bunch of cells on the loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. I already have 31, but the absolute minimum number of cells I could close this in would make it 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. So the minimum length of this loop is actually 36. So that means the digits that don't occur on the loop is going to be a fairly small set. And I can't do anything to make that too much better. Right. That's the point. Right. So if I did take an entire row, sorry, I was missing this. If I did take an entire row, then I would need to take every digit, which would mean the length of the loop was exactly 45. But the length of a loop can't be exactly 45 because the length of every loop is even. Okay. And so let me try real quick to show you why the length of every loop is even. So let me pull up just a blank grid here to show you. The way to see that the length of every loop is even is to just imagine that you have checkerboarded your entire grid like this. And so just imagine that I continued this checkerboarding. In fact, I might as well just finish the checkerboarding. Why not? We're almost there anyway. I'm sure you all came here to watch me rapidly click these things. There we go. Okay, so we've got the entire world checkerboarded. And so the point is that anytime you move orthogonally from a cell in this grid, you change the color. So if I move orthogonally from a gray cell, it's only connecting to white cells. And if I move orthogonally from white cells, it's only connecting to gray cells. Okay. Regulars around the channel know how much I love to use the word bipartite because the fact that lots of graphs that underlie Sudoku puzzles are bipartite is sort of the fancy mathy thing that's going on. This is the quintessential, the graph is bipartite proof. And so in particular, the point is if the loop starts here, it needs to end here. And so therefore I need to move from a white to a black, back to a white, to a black, to a white, but I can only do that with an even number of moves because of the fact that, again, I'm only moving from white to black to white to black to white to black, and so on. That is very cool. I love that as an idea to sort of have baked into this. And by the way, this doesn't involve the fact that the loop doesn't touch itself diagonally. This only involves the fact that the connections in the loop are orthogonal. Okay, and so the point is, this can't be part of the loop, because if it was, the loop would be 45 long, and the loop can't be 45 long. And so therefore that goes that way, and that goes that way. So we've got all of that. And so all but one digit is on the loop. And so that missing number must be odd, because otherwise we would break the thing we just said. And I don't think the missing number can be 9 anymore, because the loop could only be 36 long when we were taking that connection. I don't think the loop can be 36 long anymore. If this is not a 1... oh, maybe that's not quite true. It's close to true. Okay, so right, these two digits are the same digit, J. Dyer points out, because there's only one digit not on the loop, and this digit is the digit that's not on the loop anywhere. Well, this is the only digit in the column that's not on the loop anywhere, so therefore this is orange. See, I was thinking that J40, but couldn't this be a 1? I think this could be a 1, right? So either these are 1 or that's a 1 is what I have been saying in my head since before we did the whole checkerboard proof. And I could be missing something, but that's sort of where my brain is at the moment. So yeah, we've got a funny thing going on with the ones. Okay, so orange not being on the loop means I have to think about where orange goes in each box. I think that's what I'm supposed to be doing is Sudoku on orange. So I have to... Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's a way I can use this sort of Sudoku on orange idea. Okay, Ambrose has a really smart spot, which is that there's definitely a 9 on the loop, because we've said the only digit not on the loop can't be 9. And if there's definitely a 9 on the loop, that means there's 9 9s on the loop, which means the loop definitely visits every box. Which means in particular the loop needs to find a way into box 5. Therefore, I really like this puzzle, by the way. This has been really clever so far. So that's going to increase the minimum length of the loop by a lot. Let me imagine the minimum length is that, maybe? Let's see, what length is that? Let's see, that is 1, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That touches itself diagonally. Oh, it does touch itself diagonally. Oh, you're right. Okay, so minimizing this is going to be even uglier, isn't it? Is it going to require like that? I don't see how I could make it shorter, but I don't want to be responsible for producing a proof that this is the shortest. Oh, the top can be shorter. That's true. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44. Okay, so this is 44 cells. So if this is actually the shortest, and keep in mind, I could do at least one variation of this. Yeah, so I think that means orange is going to have to be 1 in order for this to possibly work. But I don't know that I want to just assert that this is the best, but it sure seems to me like it's the best. But I don't think that would be an intended step in a puzzle. Let's see. So let's try and figure out what we can do. So I'm pretty sure the answer is that this is a 1 and that it looks a lot like that, but I'm guessing the intended step is prettier. So maybe I should do some Xing in this box to note that there's definitely a 9 on the loop in this box somewhere. So the 9 in this box is over here somewhere. These cells can't be on the loop. So the 9 in this box is over here somewhere. So the 9 in this box has to be in one of these places. There's no option for the 9 but one of those two places because of this Zach wing that we have on 9s over in this box, owing to the bend of the thermo here. Now, if the 9 is there, I suspect we way blow our total. Because remember, this is not getting into this box. There's no way for this to sort of veer around here. So if we do this, we're just sort of spewing an extra 2 cells, which would mean we'd have to be really, oh, could be 9 up there, right? Sorry, yeah, 9 could be up there. My point was just it's locked into this column. I was hoping we could do some more Sudoku on 9s about the 9 having to be on the loop, but maybe we can't. I suppose I could look at where the 9 goes in row 1, but there's still some optionality there. Row 9, column 3 is partway along a thermo microstudy. This thermo goes there. So that was what made me think that this was probably what we were supposed to do, was the fact that this thermo was bent this way seemed to suggest to me that I was supposed to be doing, oh, you can't place 9 on that thermo kind of things. Let's see. There's not betting because of the housing disaster, Dorlir, but I suspect there will be betting by the next puzzle. Okay, there's a good question. So the 9 in row 6 is a good question from Paul Fly. It's certainly not there. Is it there? So Garion is suggesting a more intuitive argument of, can I possibly not have this loop enter box 5? And the answer is almost certainly no, because if this is not the piece of the loop, if it's not the segment between these two that enters box 5, then I've got to somehow get, say, this segment into box 5, which is not going to work because it's going to touch that diagonally, or get this segment into box 5, which isn't going to work, or get this into box 5, which is not going to work. This doesn't feel like a good proof to me. Like, this is the exact opposite of what I would call a clean deduction, but I definitely believe it. But it doesn't feel to me like what I think the setters would have intended. Maybe I'm wrong. But like, I mean, if I was just sort of trying to say, do I think we've proven that orange is 1? I don't think we have, but I mean, I believe it. I would be shocked if it turns out it's not. Let's see. So everyone is saying that, like, when they solved it and when Simon solved it, they just said, it probably looks like this, good enough. I I mean, maybe it's fine. I won't torture you all by watching me try and do this, but I feel like if you were to write out the proof that we have is like a 75 point proof, with 75 cases to argue. But I definitely believe that it has to look like that. Let's see. So I think the thing that I think is super forced, like most easily, is that. Because I think if we're willing to believe I intuitively don't think there's anything I'm not thinking of that would make this do this kind of thing, then we have this. I admit this feels very, very much like the Glum Hippo puzzle we were doing the other day, where we were 100% convinced there was no way that this thing would work with 45-degree angles and no way it would work with 90-degree angles. And we were like, let's just intuitively assume that. But then it turned out there were multiple suggestions. Or there were multiple paths for both. We just couldn't see them originally because our brains weren't thinking about it right. So this sort of feels to me like we're setting ourselves up for to do that again, of like, oh, obviously it can't do this. But this loop moves orthogonally instead of diagonally, so it's possible that our brains are just better set to make sure we do that. Let's see. Let's see. So, yeah, Marty, like I'm never going to accept try it and it doesn't work as a proof. That's not quite going to work. But I think Jay Dyer is outlining what's probably the cleanest version of the proof. Although even that proof is assuming I know that this connects to this, which I think I could prove. Proving that this connects to this would be a bit tricky. Ambrose is talking about watching topologists prove things. Watching topologists prove things is always amazing. It's always an art more than a science. In topology, it's like, oh yes, you could just imagine, just like fold this and glue this and etc. etc. Okay, so this is forced up here, which means it's forced to connect here. So now, yeah, this still has variation. This has a number of variations of how exactly this connects, but all of them require 2 more cells. And so if this doesn't connect straight across, I think the answer is that we blow our total of 44. I think that's right. Chat will tell me if this isn't 44 long. But that gives us that. And so if that really is 44 long, it means orange is 1. I think I believe that. But I'm going to stare at it for a second longer to convince myself that it's true. And clean up these. Russ at least believes it. Good enough. All right. We will do our dance. Ba-boop ba-doop. Woo! Ba-doop ba-doop. Wah! Ba-doop ba-doop. Wah! Ba-doop 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 ba-doop. Wah! Thank you, Zach. Thank you. All right. So now, now it is noted we need a 1 in column 9, and so the 1 in column 9 must go here. I'm curious to the setters in chat, was that your intention, or did you have a clean way through that part? Because I feel like there probably was a way to ask like just a couple more questions that would have super clean answers that would have gotten us through there. Did you survive?
Oh, just about. My back hurts.
Oh, no.
Oh, I will appreciate not destroying the world before stream.
Well, I did not intend to destroy the world before stream. So 9 in box 8 is only one of these two. Let's see. Yeah, the sort of part at the end where we had to sort of argue exactly which piece got into box 5. Like, everything else was super crisp up until that point. No, we should probably not do betting. I think the puzzle's pretty close to done. 9 in row 3 is going to be there, or... Ah, right, 9 in row 3 is here. Beautiful. Because I can't put it, because it needs to be on the loop everywhere. So, let's see. Let's see, 9 in column 7, right? 9 in column 7 is now only here. Okay. Pencil 9 in box 5. That's fair. And then in box 6. So yeah, so 9 is there in box 6. If that was a 9, that would be an 8, but that's probably okay. 1 in row 9. Good, because 1 can't... 1's not on the loop at all, so 1 goes there. So let's see, 9 in box 2. Oh, well, of course it was never going to go there. Can't go there either. Can't go there. So the 9, the 9 is only here, actually. Which makes that a 9. So one of these two is 9, I suppose I know. And one of these 3 is 9, I suppose I know. There are only 2 2s on this thermo, and I know that there's a 2 on this thermo. Oh boy, I think I know about 3 2s that are on the thermos. So one of the corners is going to have to be a 2. Because there's a 2 in row 1, there's a 2 in column 1, and there's a 2 in row 9. And therefore, one of these two things is a 2. Because if neither of these was a 2, that would already be 3 2s that were on the line. And I'm using here that this isn't a 2 because it's 3 along a thermo. 2 is also in column 9. That's true, right? Because in column 9, the 2's not going in either of those places either. So actually, we need 2 2s in the corner, and because that can't be a 2, we actually know that both of those are 2s. That I adore. That is delightful. Okay. And so there are no more 2s anywhere on thermos. For what it is worth. Let's see. And so now 3 is locked out of here. This whole point is that this is going to be a 3 because there's going to have to be a 3 in a corner. I bet Simon loved the fact that this step was to prove that 3 is in a corner. If we look at now row 1, column 1, row 9, and column 9, each of them needs to have a 3 on 3 on the line, because neither of those can be 3, because again that can't be 2. Therefore, I need a 3 in a corner, or I'm not going to get that. And that, again, that 3 is not a corner, so therefore that is our 3 in the corner. One moment. I owe it to Simon to do this. So that's 3 in the corner there. So we have that. So now we have that. Beautiful CTC sniping there. I love it. Okay, so now what? We have to have a lot of 4s. Okay, which box doesn't have an 8? Maybe is the next question. So neither of those can be 8. So if there's an 8 on the loop in this box, it's up here. And neither of these can be 8. So if there's an 8 in the loop, it's here. So one of these 3 cells needs to be an 8, because these 2 cells are the only spots for 8 in box 3, and this cell is the only spot on the loop for 8 in box 2, and I need to have an 8 in on the loop in one of those boxes, and now every other box needs to have an 8 on the loop. And so, annoyingly, that could be an 8, or that could be an 8, or that could be an 8. So that's a little bit irksome. Let's see. Here I think the only spot for an 8 is these. Right? Yes, do please like the stream if you've not yet liked the stream. It does greatly help with YouTube promotion and attendance and all of those fun things. I think the 8 has to be here, right? Neither of those can be 8. Yeah, neither of those can be 8. So this is an 8-9 pair, actually. That depurples this cell. Oh, yes, and so certainly because these are an 8-9 pair, the 9 doesn't go on the white dot. So that's an 8 and a 9, and that's a 7. Good spot to Carl there. Now this 8 can't go on the white dot because it would go next to a 7 or a 9. So therefore, that's our purple 8. Going over there. So that means there's an 8. That means there's an 8 exactly here, because I need to put an 8 in this box somewhere on the line, not in a column with an 8. And so the only place it can go, thanks to the thermo, is there. That 9, by the way, is placed a 9 over here, which is placed a 9 over here. Not there. 9 there, 9 there. So I think we've got all our 9s now. So we've got that. Okay, this row doesn't have many digits left. I should probably just go ahead and mark them. Oh, sorry. Mark doesn't know about the digits yet. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, that can't be a 7. Good to know. This certainly can't be a 7 either. Let's go 6, 7, 8. That would be okay, though. There are 4 1s looking into box 5, Josh points out, from there, 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 and there, placing a 1 there, which gives us a 2 there. Okay, that is all good. So we're 4, that would be 3, 4. Okay, so we've got... Oh, no, we already have our 2 2s on a loop, right? So the 2 in this box is not allowed to be on a loop. So the 2 in this box is over here, which means the 2 in this box now is over here. But the 2 in this box is here, so not there, so it is there. Hey, Svul, welcome. I hope you are having a good day. Okay, that's smart. Yeah. So Carl points out our unlooped box, or our unaided loop, is over here. So every other piece of loop needs one, including the piece of loop in column 3. And in column 3, this is the only one that can be an 8. I agree with that, which is then going to place... No, sorry. This does not place an 8 over there, because we said that can't be an 8 for some... Oh, no. Sorry. This is an 8. Sorry, this is an 8, because, again, this is the one that doesn't have 8 on the loop. In box 7, I am being told there is a... so 1 can't go on the white dot. Right, 1 in box 7. Very good. Good spot. So 1 goes there. And so now 1 in this box goes here, because it can't go partially along a thermo. So now 1 goes here, just by Sudoku. So now 1 goes here by Sudoku. And now we maybe have all the 1s. Yep. This is some S tier white dot placeage, I must say. Let's see. Okay, 8 in box 4. Nicholas is pointing out is there in one of these 2 cells. So now 8 in box 5 is here. Let's see, 8 in box 9. 8 in box 9, right? 8 can't go partially along a thermo in box 9. So now 8 is in one of these 2 cells, but not that one for lots of reasons. So 8 is there, so 8 is there. Right. And so, as Ambrose says, that 8 has to be on the loop. So, therefore, the loop does that. Let's see. We only get 2 7s off the loop, and this is one of them already. This 7 is just placed up here in this box, actually, if I looked at it, because the 7 can't repeat on its own thermo, so the 7 goes there. Just for the record. So that is not a 7. I'm trying to see if there's any other... If there's another 7 I know is not on the loop. Other than that one, I don't think that there is. Let's see. Yeah, this is certainly a 5, 6, or a 7. Let's see. We've got all our 3s, kind of. I guess is the point. We've got all of our 3s, kind of. Let's see. I probably should, think about thermos now, huh? 3, 4, 5, or 6. I don't really want to write that in. Yeah, I'm not above marking these. I will take Nikolai's advice and do that. It doesn't do a ton, unfortunately. Three in box 7 is interesting, I'm being told. So 3 in box 7 is not in any of those cells. It's not there. So 3 is in one of these 3 cells. If it's here, it's with a 4, which would make a lot of sense. Oh, if it's here, I have to dream up a number between 2 and 3 to put on the thermo, which does not work out so well. So yeah, so the 3 is not there. So in fact, this is a 3-4 pair. We do not have any 2.5s in this puzzle, unfortunately. So these digits are 5, 6, 7. And so now that tells me that the 4 in this column is up here, which tells me that that's not a 4. Oh, in fact, that can't be the 4 by thermo stuff. So in fact, that's the 4, while I'm at saying things that can't be 4. It can't be 5 either, actually, because of the thermo. That's not 4. That's not 4 anymore. These digits are 1. No, I don't have a 2 yet. Oh, but that's the only place for a 2 in this row, because I can't put any more 2s on the loop. So that's now the only place for a 2, because that certainly can't be a 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are a 5, 6, 7 triple. That one's not a 7. Oh, that has placed the 2 up here, by the way. Okay. Let's see. Martin says, by the shape of the loop in box 2, 5, and 8. So these. 7 is forced out of one of those boxes. So where on the loop could be 7 in any of these? So that's the only spot in this loop that could be 7. This is the only spot in this loop that could be 7. Right. The 7 in column 5 is not on the loop, is I guess the way to phrase, or just a different way to phrase what Martin said. And so the other 5 that's not on the loop is the 7, or sorry, the other 7 that's not on the loop is the 7 in column 5. And so every other 7, other than the 7 in column 5 and that 7, is on the loop. And therefore, this loop needs a 7, which is going to have to go in one of those 2 spots. And let's see, this one, let's see, one of these 2 is going to have to be a 7. And it's probably not going to be that one, because I need to dream up a number between 7 and 8, I guess. So that's a 7. So now the 7 is here just by Sudoku. So now the 7... Oh, no, the 7 doesn't have to go there, because this could be the 7 in column 5 again. Let's see. Oh, box 1 needs a 7 on the loop. There we go. So that's a 7. Thank you. Let's see. So these are, well, that one's not 3 or 4. So that's a 5 or a 6 itself. So that's not a 6. Just for what it is worth. These are a 5, 6 pair, Chad is pointing out. So that's now a 7, which places that 7. Unfortunately, that doesn't tell me which way the loop goes yet. But that now places the 7 in this box, just Sudoku logically. And so now the 7 in this box is up here. That's my 7 that's off the loop. So Paul Fly's pointing out, now I can't make this a 6 because I would need to make that a 7, and I can't for lots of reasons. So in fact, that's a 5, and this is a 6. And this is not 1 or 2, so this can only be 3 or 4. And these are 2, 3, 4. That has become a 6 and a 5. Let's see. These are 3, 4, 6. And I know there's not another 3 on the thermo, so that can only be 4 or 6. That's not a 5. That's not a 6. In this column, I've got 3, 4, 5 left, so that's not a 3. And I'm not allowed another 3 on the... Oh, I am allowed another 3 on the loop, but this is the last 3. That's not a 5, just for the record. This is a very cool puzzle. Let's see. Oh, I should fill in these because there's not that many options in this row. These are from 3, 4, 5. I don't think I could do anything with the fact that they're 3, 4, 5, but I know it's 3, 4, 5. I mean, I guess that means I know if 5 is on the loop here, but I don't know if I really want to count 5s yet. That might be a little ambitious. I removed 3 from this because I can't repeat another 3 on the loop. I only have I only have 3 3s on the loop, and one of them is here, one of them is there, and one of them is here. So that's why I removed 3 from there. And by the same token, this can't be 3, so that's a 6 and a 5 and a 6. So now one of these is a 4 by that. I definitely appreciate you checking, Matt Laffey, because I do have a habit of removing random pencil marks from things by accident. But in that case, I actually had a legitimate reason for doing it. But I certainly would make no claims that I consistently have reasons for doing the things that I do. This seems to be a 3 now. So that seems not to be a 3. Okay. These digits I want to fill in with Mark. Oh, this can't be a 3 for the same reason. For whatever that is worth. Maybe I do now need to count something like 4s. So that's 1 4, 2 4s, 3 4s, 4 4s. Okay, so I'm not allowed any more 4s on the loop. Oh, but that's not at all interesting. Oh, no, it's not interesting. Oh, no, it is, because this can't be a 4. That's a 5, because we already counted to 4. So that's a 4, and that's a 3, and that's a 5, and that's a 4, and that's a 3, and that's a 5, and a 6, and a 4, and a 6, and a 5, and a 2, 6 and 5, 3 and 4. And we get all of these. So that is a 2 and a 6 and a 5, and a 3 and a 2, and a 4 and a 6, and a 3 and a 5, and a 4, 4, 3, 3, 3, 4. Let's see. Mark knows that this is a 4. And so the bet tree in our hearts is a 6. So congratulations to all the virtual 6 bettors out there. May all your betting tree wishes come true. Oh, I need to finish the loop. That's true. I do need to finish the loop. So I just need to count the number of 5s, right? 2, 3, 4. Do I need a 5th 5? Is that what I'm saying? Or am I... Do I really have 6 6s on the loop? Oh no, there's the 5th 5. So the 5 5s are there, so I can't take another 5, so I have to take the 6. There we go. Very neat idea for a puzzle. I liked that a lot. Weird loop step aside. But there's always sort of... It's always tricky to figure out what the exact right mathematical way to sort of describe loop steps is. And it's exactly the reason Ambrose said earlier, actually, which is that every loop argument is really a topology argument. And topology arguments just look different than arguments from other areas of math that you usually make in other types of sort of Sudoku steps. And so there's a lot of sort of like complicated connectivity arguments, which is what this was, I think. All right. I'm going to take a quick break, and I'll be back with another puzzle. So see you all in just a moment. All right, welcome back, everyone. I hope you're ready for absolute complete insanity. We have a Mixo Japanese sums puzzle up. I need to make the zeta much smaller because it's a Mixo puzzle. Mixo has definitely rapidly become one of my favorite psychopaths as far as setters go. This looked like the perfect amount. There are definitely some Mixo puzzles that I look at and go, I'm not doing that. When I get to 10,000 subscribers, I'll do Mixo's full rank Philomeno. How about that? So let's go over the rules to this. So first of all, this is a Japanese sums puzzle, not a Sudoku. Note that this is actually a 10 by 10 grid here in the middle. Yeah, the liar Ubon, I think it's going to take a while of me doing a Ubon every time I feel like doing a Ubon before I feel comfortable to do that. No, I mean, this definitely is not the craziest Mixo puzzle. Like, this is solidly at 4 stars and not 5. There are plenty of 5-star Mixo puzzles that do that. So we have to fill some stuff in here. Namely, we get to make some of these cells green and some of them gray. And the green cells get digits and the gray cells don't. They'll be warned if it's in a Vario puzzle, it'll be the other way around. But for us, I think this said specifically, yes, right. Put digits in unshaded cells, right? I think it says that. Yes. Excuse me. When we do that, it creates these sort of Japanese sums patterns. This is the whole like deal with these puzzles. So I can't repeat digits in rows or columns. Hey, Mixo, do you have a recommended bet tree for this this monstrosity? So just to explain how this would work, remember the green cells get digits and they can't repeat within the column. The gray cells get nothing. Sorry, gray cells. So this could go something like this. And then these clues up here would give you the sums of the digits. So these would be in each string of green digits. So that would be a string of 3 green digits. That would be a 6. This would be a string of 3 green digits. That would be a 19, which we can write in as that. And this would be a 9. And so the outside clues in a Japanese sums give you those sums of strings of consecutive things. Now, of course, when I say they give you the sums, Mixo has not been so kind as to, in fact, actually give us the sums. Rather, Mixo has given us the number of sums that show up. And also, yes, we'll do official betting once I put down the bet tree. So rather, we just get the number of sums, and then we also get relationships between them. So, for example, the white dots mean the sums are consecutive, and the black dots means the sums have a ratio of 2 to 1. So we have that. Yes, I did see that. Is there a negative constraint? Yes. Yes. So in the grid outside, there is a negative constraint to do that. Yeah, Tristan, before we do bets, you have to decide how are we handling if it's shaded. So yeah, so there is a negative constraint, but only outside the grid, not inside the grid. Okay. Oh, there's a bet for other, apparently Tristan says. Okay, so row 4, column 7. So by row 4, column 7, do we mean that row 4, column 7, or do we mean that row 4, column 7? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That row 4, column 7. I'm guessing we probably mean that row 4, column 7. Row 4, column 7 in the 10 by 10. Got it. Okay. Okay. I mean, like, just the idea for this rule set is just hilarious. So we've got all of this, and now chat is going to be responsible for every time I say that I can't do this, correcting me and reminding me that I'm allowed to do this. Because normally, of course, if you have a bunch of black dots in a row, they have to be different, and that means things. But here I'm allowed to repeat these, and so I think a bunch of times what's going to happen is I'm going to accidentally assume that I do that. So there's a very interesting thing going on with example this string of black dots, which I think is how we're going to have to start this puzzle. But it's going to be a little bit more complicated than that. So in this row, there are 5 strings of green, which means there are 4 strings of gray, but there's only 10 cells total, which means that either there's one 2-cell green cell or it's broken, right? So if there were 5 grays, then I would have 5 single cell sums, and I would have to come up with 5 single digit numbers that formed a string of black dots like this, which would mean they'd all be different, and that wouldn't work. So at the very least, the first thing I'm going to get is that these are both green. Because I know that I've got one 2-cell green sum and 4 1-cell green sums. And probably what I've got is going to be something of the 1, 2, 4 variety, because I need 4 single-digit sums in here. Yeah, I need 4 single-digit sums, right? There's 5 sums here. 4 of them have to be single digits. And so I need 4 single-digit numbers that live in the same string of black dots. So that means that these are all from 1, 2, 4, 8, 16. I'm going to put a 6 outside the grid just to remind me that 16 is in here. If I did do 16, it would be 7, 9. Or if I did a second 8, it would be... So I think there's 2 options. Oh, I don't think second 8 is actually possible. So in my original version, I was thinking, okay, I could have 2 8s. And so one of the 8s would be 3, 5. And then I've got just my 1, 2, 4 and my other 8. But I don't think there's any way I can organize the numbers so that I get 2 8s. Because if I want to include 1, 2, 4, 8 in the second 8, where am I putting the second 8? I don't think there's anywhere. So I think it does have to be 1, 2, 4, 8, 16 in some order. Which I think means that this is a 4. And these are a 2, 8 pair. And these are a 1, 16 pair. However you wanted to note 1, 16 pair. And the 16 has to be 7, 9. Dorlir, no. In a Japanese sums, the sum doesn't have to be 45. It just has to be less than 45. So the only way to make 16 and 2 is 7, 9. It's because I get any number of gray cells that I would like in the row. So the sum is always at most 45, but it could be less. So now, either my greens look like this, that's one universe, or my greens look like this, that's the other universe. Oh, I think Carl has a valid point. I think it could be 2, 4, 8, 16, 8. Oh, very, very good. Okay, so sorry. So my claim was wrong. I thought I had proven something, but I was incorrect. Right. Oh, no. Right. That's two single cell 8s. Right. I don't get 2 single cell 8s. Right. Okay. So sorry. So I was right here. And And then the only thing is I didn't put 1 in here for whatever ridiculous reason. So one of these is a 1, and then one of them is a 7-9 pair on the outside. Okay, so is there anything interesting to do with the fact that this is definitely a 4? It tells me, for example, that this is not a 5 or a 3 or an 8 or a 2. That doesn't do that. Yeah, the problem with 2, 4, 8, 16, 8, as Emily says, is it would be too many digits. It would require 7 green digits, and I only have 6 green digits in the row. I was hoping when I wrote out those two commonalities, I was hoping when I spelled out the 2 ways that the greens in this row could look, to find that there was a commonality, but there is no commonality other than the ones that I already have, which is worth pointing out. Okay, so Garion says if we put 16 over here, it would put 15 or 17 on the black dot. Right. Okay, so yeah, so if this is a 16, then this is a 15 or a 17, which would make this a 30 or a 34. And then this being a 30 or a 34 would then make this a 15 or a 17, but that's already too many. That's very clever. Okay, so this can't be the 16. I really like that. Yeah, that doesn't feel like a chain to me. That feels like noticing that you don't want to put huge odd digits on a black dot. So if this is a 16, we put a huge black. If that counts as a chain, then MIA definitely uses a lot of chains. But no, that's a really good spot to Gary, and a very cute setting. So this is in fact the 1, because otherwise this row has a sum of more than 45. So that's 1, 2, 4, 8, 16. And so that does give me the whole coloring of this row, as well as a whole bunch of digits. So let's do our 1 dance. Zach has been doing a lot of 1 dances lately, by the way. Zach would like to note to setters that he would prefer to be allowed to do other dances. Ba-boop-a-doop, woo! Ba-doop-a-doop, wah! Ba-doop-a-doop, wah! Ba-doop-a-doop, wah! Ba-doop-a-doop, thank you, Zach. Oops, not like that. Never like that. 2, 4, 8. This is a 7 or a 9. These are gray. Bam. Okay. So 1 goes next to 2. Fun fact. So there's a sum of 2 somewhere over here. That 2 can't get too close to this 2. But I don't see any reason it couldn't go like that's the 2 or whatever. But this 2, I'm going to have to make sure doesn't go in the same row as this 2 at some point in my life. Let's see, the 8 here is interesting. Okay, this column also has 5 green thingies in it. So again, we have this issue of we either have 5 gray cells, in which case it has to strictly alternate. If there's 5 gray cells in this column, it has to look exactly like this. Or there's 4 in a 2-cell one. And I don't quite know what to make of that yet. Okay, so this 2 is on a black dot, which means that this is either 1 or 4. But the point is, if this is a 1, it breaks this cell by the negative constraint. Because if this is a 1, then that's a 2, and now this digit's consecutive with 2, but it's missing white dots there. So this is, in fact, always a 4. Now, for the same reason, this can't be a 2. Yes, Sven also saw that. I'm very impressed with Sven. Like, that's really quite an impressive Sven note. Did I just turn off my microphone? No, I did not. I occasionally, like, go to adjust my microphone, and there's buttons hidden all over it that then I sometimes press. So anyway, this can't be a 2 because then this dot would be consecutive, would mean this cell's consecutive with 2, but then it would be missing white dots there. So that's, in fact, an 8. So therefore, this cell's a 7 or a 9. Okay, so now this is a... Oh, right, but this could be something like a 15 for all I know. I was about to try and make arguments about the fact that this was a black dot digit that didn't black dot a 4, but that's not that's not an exciting deduction. Right. Okay, so Nicholas is completely right. The only way that column 14 can work, because column 14 also has 5 clues, is for those cells to be green and these cells to be gray. That is a beautiful spot there to Nicholas. Okay, and so now the first clue in this row is a 2, so therefore that's a 2, and it's got to be gray in each direction. That 2 goes at the top here. So these are a 4-8 and a 3-6. Oh, and that 2 goes at the top there now. These are 4-8, 3-6. Let me fill in 4-8, 3-6 into these cells just for future sanity. For whatever extent we can claim sanity. I admit I saw the one where the clues could be in any order, and I was like, I think that's too much for me. I don't know that my Zeta brain could handle that. Oh, there's also a 1 up here. Oops. So we can fill that in. This can't be a 4, actually, I realize. So that can't be an 8, because if this were a 4, it would have a dot. And it does not. So oh, it can't be 3 either. That's a good spot, because 3 also would have a dot with 2. So so this is always 3 or 4. So this is not 2, 3, or 4. This is at least larger than that. So this is a minimum of 5 and a maximum of 17. But I don't really want to pencil mark that. Let's see. What can this be? Oh, this could be a 16. So yeah, so that's a little tricky. That's a good spot. Okay, so Carl pointing out that the 3-4 can't be next to another 3-4. And so so we actually get to do a little bit of housework down here. That's a 6 or 8. That's not a 6 or 8. This is a 6 or 8. This is not a 6 or 8. All very good. Thank you to Nicholas, Garian, and Carl, and Lakia, and Nicholas for pointing that out. So this is a 3 or a 4 or a 12 or a 16. 16 is too many. Is 12 too many? Because if this were 12, then this could be, for example, 11, 12, 11. 11, 12, 11 is not too big, I don't think. Let's see. Row 4, column 9 can't be a solo 8. Oh, you mean up here? I'm not quite sure what cell you're talking about, Jays. Uh, uh, row 4, column 7, the bet tree? Sorry, no, row 4, column 9, that one. I'm not sure why this can't be a solo 8. I'm not sure what you... Oh, you're saying it can't be a solo 8 in terms of that clue. I got it. Okay, so one of these two is green, is what Jays is saying, because if both of those were gray and this was an 8, then it would put an 8 there, which would make a black dot. I mean, 11, 12, 11 is only 34. I feel like I could make them, but maybe I'm wrong. Let's see. Okay, so I know I've got 3 consecutive things here. So, and again, this is a minimum of 5. But again, this could go back to being 4. Do I know for sure this isn't 3 or 4? Well, I know for sure this isn't 3. So this digit can't be 3, because if this digit was 3, then it would have to white dot a digit up here, and that would be a problem, right? Oh, I could go 3, 4, 4. There doesn't need to be any kind of dot between a 4 and a 4. So maybe this could be a 3. No. If this is a 6 and a 3, then this can't be a 3. Oh, this can't be a 3 or a 4 at all. If this is a 3 or a 4, there needs to be a white dot. There needs to be a dot there, right? Oh, not with a 2. Not with a 2. Yeah, sorry. So this being a 3 is a problem. This being a 4 isn't necessarily a problem. No, I think it being a... Oh, good lord. Okay, if this was a 4, that would be an 8. This would be a 4. What would this be? A nothing. That wouldn't work. Okay. So no, this can't be 3 or 4 by the negative constraint, because if this is 3 or 4, it's the same as that 3 or a 4, and that doesn't work. So this is a 12 or a 16, and it can't be a 16, because 16 is too big. So this cell's a 12. That's very nice. Okay, so it is a 12 with a 6 and a 3, and a 4 and an 8. And so that goes 8, 4, 6, 3. Thank you, Mixo. So these numbers are big, but they could be 11 or 13. I guess I can just mark off that they're 11 or 13 like that. Sven knows this one isn't a 13, though. But that means each of these require at least 2 cells to fill in. So, as several people in chat are pointing out, that actually forces the entire coloring of the column, because they each require at least 2 cells to make, and I only actually have 2 cells in order to make it. So I've got that. That 4 now just fills in that digit's a 4. And so now that sum of 4 is... or that 4 is going into a 2-cell sum to 11 or 13. So 11 would make this a 7, 13 would make this a 9. Let's see. Yeah, Tristan would have had fun with this one. I don't think Tristan would have ever picked it out of the bucket because it's a 4-star Japanese sums puzzle, but this is definitely this is a very Tristan-friendly puzzle. Okay, so I need to make sure that whichever of 11 or 13 I pick, it doesn't have a 2-to-1 ratio with a 3 or a 4 up here. Okay, so my way is to make 12. This one I actually do know sums to 12. And it's not 4, 8. So this 12 is, as Nicholas points out, it's either 3, 9 or 5, 7. And in particular, I get a virtual 7, 9 pair. So there's no 7 or 9 down here. Does that mean there's definitely an 8? Because if I don't use an 8, no, it could just be 5, 6. Annoyingly, I think this could just barely get away with being 5, 6. Tragically. Okay, this is almost getting spicy over here, but not quite spicy enough yet. I do have only 2 strings of green down in row 15, and I've already filled in one of them, so that's interesting. This digit is in a 2-to-1 ratio with that, for whatever that is worth. Is the 5 always taken? Is there a reason this can't be 3, 8? I don't see a reason off the top of the head this can't be 3, 8. Let's see. Okay, only 2 green strings in this row, but that doesn't see. Only 1 green string in this column, but it could sum to almost anything. Although I love how even though the negative constraint is still meaningful, perhaps, because it might look over at that. The problem with 2, 9, Ambrose, is that I need a 7, 9 in both of these, so there's a virtual 7, 9 pair in the column. Yeah, this is on a this is on a black dot clue. So this 3, 5, 7, 9 is over here. But I mean, even if it's a 9, 18, that's not a problem, is it? Actually, now that I look at this conflagration is starting to feel familiar. If this is a 9, then this cell's an 18. This cell's certainly not a 36, so this cell would be an 18. And so now... sorry, so this cell would be a 9. And now we have the same problem again of this cell, white dot's a 9 there, but doesn't there. So that's not a 9. I think the same is true of 7. If this is a 7, that would be a 14. This can't be a 28 in the middle of a 3-cell string. That would sum to at least 27 plus 28 plus 27, which is way more than 45. So this can't be a 7 either. So this is actually only a 3 or a 5. So this is only a 7 or a 9. Okay, so let's examine the possibilities. Is even 5 too big? So if this were a 5, I think even 5 is too big. Because if this were a 5, this would have to be a 10. This can't be a 20. So it would have to be a 5, but then it breaks this little configuration again. So this is actually just forced to be a 3, which is, on the one hand, both great and useless. So this is a 6, and again, this can't be a 3, so this is a 12. So these are, funnily enough, 11 or 13. So funnily enough, this is already summing... so this... Right, this is already summing to 11 or 13. Oh, and this cell can't be a 2! This cell can't be a 2! So the minimum sum here is 11. The maximum sum is 13. If this was green, then I would have a huge problem, which is that I would need to put a 2 here exactly, and I can't because there's a 2 in the column, so this cell is gray. So that is very nice. And I'm nowhere near having forced this column. So Selena wants me to do some sort of math in the last column. I know this sums to 11 or 13. Oh, this was a 12 clue. This was a 12 clue. Fun. Imagine that. This was a 12 clue. This was not an 11 or 13 clue. I now understand what people are saying. So in fact, this actually is a 13. So this is a 26, which is helpful, I suppose. So that's huge. 26 is a minimum of 4 cells. This can't be, the one next to it can't sum to 25 or 27, I have to keep in mind. So we've got all of that. Okay, so this is a 5 or a 7, I should note, because it's doing stuff with a 16. 5 or a 7 means that this is 10 or 14 that goes here. Okay. Not quite sure yet. Oh, people would like me to fill in that this is a 7. I will 100% fill in that that's a 7 so that I can fill in that that's an 11. So we've got all of that. So we're going to have a 7 or 9 here and then some other unknown thing. I feel like this number can't be too big, because one of these has to be a 1-cell clue. There's not enough room for none of these to be a 1-cell clue. So one of these is at most 9. But 11 maybe is the maximum. So these are between 9 and these are at most 11, all of them. Yeah, this could be 5, 6, or 5, 8. If people really want me to fill it in, I'll fill it in. But it didn't. It seemed like there was enough low-hanging fruit that it was not necessary to sort of start filling that in. But I will happily do that. But these are all at most 11. But like this cell, I just want to note, like of those, it can't actually be that many things, because it can't be 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. So this is at least a 6. It can't be an 8. It could be a 9. It could be a 10 or 11. But I want to look and see if this could really be 10 or 11. So if this was 11, what happens? Because this one could be that. This one. This is the one that actually can't even be that big. Right. This can't be a 6 because it would break the negative constraint on that. Thank you, Isaiah. Yes, the white dots not being able to repeat digits is exactly the mistake that I was planning to make a million times when I put this puzzle in the bucket. Okay. This digit goes on this black dot, Selena is pointing out, with this cell. So I have to be a little bit careful here, because this is either 4, 6, or 8. But I have to have a number that is 4, 6, or 8 that is on a black dot with a number that is 5, 6, or 8. So it's certainly not 5. And so now I have a 6 or 8 that's on a dot with this. So it's certainly not 6. And so that's 4 or 8. But actually, it's certainly not 8 either. So this has got to go 4, 8 like that, which means that has to have been a 5. Which means this was actually a 10. That 8 fills in that 8. And so now this can only be a 5, because 3 won't work down here. So that means this was actually a sum of 13. Sorry, actually a sum of 13. I filled that in wrong. So we've got that all string of stuff. So that 10 there. So this is either a 20 or a 5, and it can't be a 5, actually, because if this was a 5, it would go next to the 4. So this is a 20. And so now 20 is minimum 3 cells. Yeah, we've got lots of room still for this row. Okay. The 6 can't be alone, though. That's true. Ilm spots this. The 6 can't be alone here, because if this 6 were alone, this clue would negative constraint the thing, which we're not allowing. Okay, and now this cell. Oh no, we could just make that green if I make both of those green, annoyingly. Let's see. Oh, it feels so good when you set a negative constraint puzzle where there's no accidental clues. Miami is a negative constraint puzzle where there are no accidental clues, which I was very happy about. Five. Okay, that's really gorgeous. Okay, so Matt Laffey points out, if I look at the shading of this, I need 4 stretches of green. If I absolutely minimize it, this could be a stretch of 1 green. This could be a stretch of 2 green, and that could be a stretch of 1 green. But that's actually, that's the whole row. So I have to do that, which is going to force that this is going to have to be a 9, because it's a 1-cell sum to a number that's consecutive with 10. This is a 5, just outright. And so that has fixed the 7 and the 9 up here. Thank you, Sven. So let's see. So these sum to 10 without being 5, 5, 1, 9, or 4, 6. So these are 3, 7, or 2, 8. That one's not an 8, so that one's not a 2, just for the record. I don't know how much I want to torture this digit. So it can't be 1 because it would make this sum a 7. The answer is apparently sum. It can't be a 1, can't be a 2. If it were a 3, that wouldn't work because that would create a dot with a 9. So this is at least a 4. Can't be a 4, though, because if it was a 4, that would be a 10. That would need a black dot. If this was a 5, well, there's a 5 in the row. It can't be a 6. So this can only possibly be a 7 or 8. And neither 14. So this digit here is either 13 or 14, is what we're saying. So there's always a 1 here. It's either 13 or 14 to make that work. Okay, so that is very interesting, and it's going to put some pressure on this cell. So if this was a 7, it would have to go with something else to make this like an 8 or something. I feel like I could probably pressure this column if I bullied it enough, but I doubt that bullying this column is the path of least resistance at the moment. Oh, I now see why people were telling me this couldn't be 12 before. People kept telling me this couldn't be 12, and I was like, yes, because it's next to a 6, but why would I even want it to be 12? But it's next to a 13, so this has to be 12 or 14 and can't be 12. So I now I see the piece that I was that chat was all saw before, but that I did not, which is that this now has to be a 14. This is 8 or 10 for whatever that is worth. Limited amount, I suppose. Let's see. If it were 10, would that... Oh, sorry. Right. Sorry, I misread this pencil mark. Right. This is not a 13. This is an 11 or 13. Right. So this is... Yeah, so this is 10 or 14. Okay, Emily is looking at this column and noting we need to fit 5 clues into it. And if we're going to do that, because we can only fit 1 down here, then we need to make all of these green. Because I can only get 1 clue down here, which is very cool and helpful. Okay, this is a double-digit sum, so this cell can't be green. Sorry, can't be green. And now... and now I need 3 double-digit sums in this row, so I have to do that in order to make this row possibly work. Thank you very much, Emily, for that. That was very well spotted. If this cell was green, all of these are green. I don't... Probably doesn't work with this, but who knows? Playmaker points out that the 12 clue, there's only 4 ways to make 12, which are 6, 6, 5, 7... 4, 8, and 3, 9, and 3 of them don't work. And so the only one that it can be is 5, 7. Except that's not the one that's 12. This is the one that's 12. But other than that, so now this one needs to sum to 11 or 13. Is one of those impossible now? Let's see. 11 can't be 2, 9. Could be 3, 8, annoyingly. 13 would be 9, 4, or 5, 8, or 6, 7. I think 13 is not possible anymore, because 13 is 6, 7, 5, 8, or 4, 9, all of which are impossible. So this is no longer able to be 13. It is 11, which now means this is not 14. It is 10. For whatever that is worth. Okay, and so this 11 now, what is it? Is not 2, 9. It could be 3, 8, but it is not 4, 7, or 5, 6. So it is 3, 8. And that is the 3, and that is the 8. And thank you, Noelle, for subscribing. Greatly appreciated. Welcome to the channel. I hope you're enjoying yourself. So this can't be a 3 anymore, so that can't be a 7. Like that. Got all of that. Okay, so this is 8 or 10 for whatever limited amount that is worth. Did I miss 8 looking down a column? I noticed 8 going down that column. Does 8 go down another column? Other 8. Apparently, yes, this 8 also goes down the column. Okay, good. 3, 7, that's an 8. That has made this a 14. Even though Sven super does not like this 14, for the record. If this was an 8, that would have to be a 16, but that seems fine to me at the moment. Row 10 green is not part of the 26 clue. That's true. The 26 clue is a minimum of 4 cells. Okay, yeah, so the 26 clue, so this is Josh's point. The 26 clue does not include this, because then I couldn't fit that clue. So the 26 clue has to fit entirely in these 5 cells, and the 26 clue is just a minimum of 4 cells long, so all of these are green unconditionally. This column only has one clue, and so these are both gray as soon as that's true. Yep, Jays points that out as well. Let's see, there's a 20 clue that has to fit entirely over here. A 20 clue is at least 3 cells, annoyingly. Although if a 20 clue... No, if a 20 clue is 3 cells, I don't know that it has to have an 8 in it, annoyingly. Let's see. One of these is gray. At least they could both be gray. That would be fine. Let's see. Okay, this needs 3 greens. But I don't know exactly what's going on. This cannot be the 4 for the row. Carl points out, and Ilm points out, and Jay points out. If this was green, it would be a 4 for the row, which would make this a 12. But remember, we said one of these digits is at most 9, because one of them is a single digit. So there's no number bigger than 11 in there. So that's not green at all. Okay, and so now my 20 starts at earliest, or sorry, my 20 needs to fit entirely in these 4 cells. And therefore, we get that is all green. Avoid a 2x2. No. So these are part of the 20 for sure. Yeah, that I suppose could technically be the 4 or a 1-3 or whatever, but it would be contentious, we'll say. So if this is gray, this is a 16 for whatever it's worth. That's a really smart spot to Russ. Looking at this column, if I make this gray, that's a 7, whereas this is at least 9. So that's always green. I don't know that it gets us anything, but it's a very good observation. I like it a lot. So this is a single digit number now. Okay, so I think it does, because it's going to tell us this is a single digit number. But it's not 4 or 3 or 5 by the negative constraint. It's not 8 by the negative constraint. Let's see. It's not 2 by the negative constraint either. If this was 1, that would be a 2. I think that's okay. Oh, wait, it could be 4. Why did I think it couldn't be 4? I don't know what. Oh, because I was thinking that going next to a 4 wouldn't work. But yeah, it could be 4. Yep. In my brain, I keep mentally saying that you can't put... I want there to be a dot that says these 2 digits are equal, and so I keep trying to prevent 2 digits that are equal from being next to each other, but that's not one of the dots. People are saying not 7 or 9, but I don't understand why. Yeah, I guess most negative constraints, or most Sudokus have a negative constraint on beige dots. By the column of the grid. It's not a 1-digit clue. I think Chad is looking at something different than I am looking at when they're talking about this cell. Oh, Oh, this isn't 7 or 9 because that digit just isn't 7 or 9. Okay, got it. Okay, now I see it. Right. This cell is that, and that's not 7 or 9 because it is a one cell sum. Okay. It's a one digit clue in row 2. That's what I was missing. Okay. Uh, so this is at most 12, I suppose. Uh, Row 14, column 11 is not a single cell for sum. Ah, that's very smart. Okay. So when I maximized this before, I said, okay, there's my 8, there's my 4, and then I've got these 4 cells left over. But that's not actually the maximum anymore because in that version, this digit is a second 4 for the column. So actually, my tightest configuration is this, which means that has to be green, and that has to be gray to separate it. And so this could be a single digit 4, or it could be a 1, 3. So I guess this is unconditionally green, and is a 1, 3, or 4. Yep, that sounds right. Okay. Row 12, column 10 can't be gray, or the row doesn't fit. So we've got single digit, double digit, single digit. This looks okay to me. 765 is only 18. So if I don't use a 9 in this, that would be a problem. But these two can't be 9, so that has to be a 9. And to these two, add to 11 without being 2, 9 or 3, 8. So they're 4, 7 or 5, 6. And that one's not a 7, so that one's not a 4. Let's see. I know I get 3 here. If I make that green, I guess that's a little iffy. Okay. I know I'm getting an 8 sum here eventually. I know I'm getting a 7 or a 9 sum here eventually. Oh, this 1, 4, 6 actually just goes here now. Oh, I guess that was actually true before. I just didn't mark it. That's probably why I didn't see that it couldn't be 7 or 9. Okay, Dorlir is pointing out that this cell has to be green because if not, this 1, 3, 4 would go on the black dot. What's wrong with a 3 with a 6? Oh, row 15, column 7. Sorry. Okay, right. So if this is not green, Dorlier's point is this clue is now a 5, 6, or 7. 5 and 7 break right away because they would require a double-digit clue, and we only have a single-digit clue. The 6 breaks in a more sophisticated way because it would have to go with a 3, but there's a 3 in the row. So this is always green, is Dorlier's point. I believe. This is a great puzzle. Yes, I agree. Yeah, there's only 2 strings of green in this column, but there's not really any pressure on it because there aren't any clues in it really. In column 13, I can reduce some options. The problem is I don't even know if the 8 is part of this sum or part of that sum in column 13. Okay, so this is 8 or 10. And then my 10 is 2 cells at minimum. Okay, so yeah, so row 12, Mixo is pointing out, many of you in chat have seen, I have not noticed this. This sum ends, well, it ends at earliest there. Then I need a 10, which is going to be a 2-cell sum at minimum. And then I need a 6. Oh, but the 6 has a little bit of flexibility. So the point is, the 6 has a little bit of flexibility, but this domino always sort of requires I take this cell. Because if I don't take this cell, I now no longer have places for things. So this cell is always green, is the point. Oh, and I can't put a 6 there. Okay, so sorry. There's more to it than that. Because again, we have that is fine, but that's not actually fine. Because even if this is green, it can't be a 6 because that would put a 14 in the string of clues where, remember, the maximum clue is an 11. So ergo, this actually finishes at earliest here, which then forces this to work there and forces this to be green. And so that's gray and that's gray regardless. Okay. So this is either a 6 or it's part of a 2-cell 6 sum. And the 2-cell 6 sum, even, this would have to be a 1 or a 2. It certainly couldn't be and it couldn't be a 1, actually, because a 1 here would put a 5 there. So actually, in my 1-cell 6 sum, this could only be a 2. So this is either a 4 or a 6, is the upshot of that. And funnily enough, that means that this is not, as a 10 domino, it's not 4, 6, and it's not 3, 7. Sadly, it's doubly not 3, 7. So this is 1, 9, or 2, 8. But that 1, 9, 2, 8 digit goes there. And that's going to have some restrictions because, for example, if this was a 9, it would make this be an 18, but I can't make 18 and 2 ever, so that's never a 9, that's never a 9, that's never a 1. If I made this a 1, it would need to make this a 2, but I can't make this sum to 2 no matter what I do, so that's not a 1, and that's not a 1, which means it's always a 2, 8. And now, whether this is 2 or 8, this is always 4. Oh, no, it could be 1. It could be 1, right? I think it could be 1, 2. I think that would be okay. It's being pointed out that I can actually use this 8 to figure out that that's an 8. So this is a 4 or a 16, but 16 is not possible. So this is a 4, which funnily enough still doesn't resolve anything. Look, I'm used to Sven telling me when there's a Sudoku spot. I don't know what you all want from me. If this is not green now, do I run out of stuff? I think now if this is not green, I now run out of stuff in this column because I can no longer fit 4 things in this column without this being green. And now because of the only 2 clues in this row, that's also green. And now I do need a clue here, which is going to go in one of those 2 spots. So we've got all of that. Oh, I think I think Micro would like me to notice that this 4 can't be a 4-2-6 cell sum because of that 2 or that 2. I'm not sure which 2 Micro would prefer me to resolve it with, but I'll say it was that one. So therefore this 6 sum needs to go there. So now, yeah, so that's my 10 sum. And so this, right, this is a sum to 8 or to 10. And so this sum is not a single cell sum to 8 or to 10 by this row. So that's always green. If this is a single, or sorry, if this is a 2 cell sum to 8, it's 1, 7. And if it's a 2 cell sum to 10, it's 1, 9. Well, it's not 1, 9. Because neither of these cells is a 9. And so this is a 1, 7, and I know the order. And that makes that an 8. So we've got all of that. Oh, chat has pointed out this 8 is interesting because it goes in one of these 2 cells. And so that means both of these are from 7, 8, or 9. Which means that this is now at most 10. It's not 11 anymore. Actually, I don't think this can be 10, actually, either. Because if this was 10, it would be 2 cells, and then the 8 would actually go there, and 10 and 8 aren't consecutive. So, actually, that being a 7 or 9 tells me that actually the 8 goes there. And so this is also a 7 or a 9. So the 8 goes in the middle, which means this is green, and this cell's a 7 or a 9, which is surprising to me. It's not what I was expecting, I'll be honest. Let's see. So, I was really expecting this to end up being 8, but in fact, it turns out that this number is either 15 or 15 or the other one. 15 or 17. 17 is too big, actually. In fact, actually, even 15 is quite challenging. Because 15 times 2 is 30, so that would make the row sum to 45. 17 times 2 is 34. That's more than 45. That's too big. So this is a 15 and this is a 30. And so that means I actually need this to be a 6 cell long sum. That's got to be the 7, by the way. This has got to be which made that a 7. That means this is a 6 cell long sum, which means all of these are actually green. As soon as that's green because this has only got 2 clues in it. This is the everything else. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Which is going to be helpful later, I suspect, when I realize that that's not an 8 or a 2. That's not an 8 or a 9. These aren't 9. These aren't 9 either. Is the 9? No, I just know one of these 2's 9. I don't quite know where the 9 is yet. Oh, the 9 is probably not part of a 2-cell sum to 4. That is my guess. I don't think the 9 is part of a 2-cell sum to 4. And this isn't a 3, so that's a 1 and that's a 3 and that's a 9. So that gets rid of all... Oh, sorry. That could have been a 9 too. I don't know why I ever said this couldn't be 9. That was just made up. but it's not 1. Column 6 has 2 clues. That's true. So all of this is green. That's true. This is also a 2-cell sum to 4, so we can get rid of that. This seems not to be able to be a 4 either. Let's see. So we've got all of that. Okay. So that's a 7, that's an 8. And so now I need a sum of 7 or 9 in here, which is interesting. Okay. Oh, these need to sum to 20. Is that interesting now? No, I don't think that's interesting anymore. Oh, no, it is interesting because there's not a 7 in it, is being pointed out. Because these two are summing to 11, and neither of them is 7. So one of them is a 5 or a 6, so the other is also 5 or 6. So that all makes sense. Oh, this isn't a 1 anymore, so this is a 4 or a 6. Amazing. I love it. So that I adore. If this is a 9... a lot of people in chat were saying this is their favorite step, and I see why. If this was a 9, this sum would be 15, and that would be 30, and there would need to be a black dot between those. So this is not a 9, is the point. Oops, my hand was in the wrong place. So therefore, that's the 9. Amazing. So 512 also doesn't work, funnily enough, because 512 would put an 8 here next to a 4, less excitingly. So this is either a 6 or an 8. If this were a 6, then the sum would be 12, and if it were an 8, the sum would be 14. So this is 12 or 14, which is not yet useful, but will probably be useful later. I am waiting for my naked single nothing step to appear. This 4, 6 tells me this isn't a 1 anymore, so this is a 4 or a 6. If this is a 4, it has to go... Oh, that's not true. If this is a 4, it could go to a 2 or an 8. If this is a 6, it could go to a 3 or a 12. Ugh. Did Dorlir earlier spot that that's a 7? And so this is a 14 or a 3.5. Because that sounds useful. So that's a 6 and that's an 8, which now has made that a 6. Made that not a 6, that not a 6 or an 8. So now this sum is 14. No, sorry, is 12. So this sum is 33, just for completeness. I don't know why I felt that that 3 had to be entered before that 3, but what are you going to do? So these are... so this was 14. I didn't fill it in, speaking of completeness. So these digits are something something. I still need my sum of 26. Okay, I need a sum of 7 or 9. Don't really know anything about what's happening here yet. I know I need an extra one here. Top green in column 6. Right. Okay, so the minimum sum here now is 10, 15, 17. The minimum sum here is 17. I can't get to a number consecutive with 17 with just these two, so that's always green, is Carl's spot. So now if this is a 4, this is an 8. And if this is a 6, I could still maybe get away with something else. Let's see. Funnily enough, Micro, that's almost verbatim the idea that Meme Rister had, that over a perverse series of, oh, maybe it could be this, led to me thinking of doublers. Garion is somehow thinking about this potentially being 22 and 23 or something. Oh, Garion is saying that if this was green, all of this would be green, and this would be 22 plus 23, but I can't get to 22 or 23 over here, is the point, because the most this can be is 20. So this is always gray. Okay, so does the column need a 5? No, the column doesn't need a 5, I don't think. Unless you can tell me another digit that doesn't appear in it. The row 14. The row 1420 sum is now done. Okay. I now see why the 5 is placed in column 1. It's not because of the column 1 needing a 5. It's because the 5, 6 was next to the 5. So let's see. So this sum is either 17 or 17 or 19, or whatever that is worth. Neither 17 nor 19 is consecutive or in a ratio of 2 to 1 with 14, unfortunately. See, I probably want to write in these digits because probably there's some Sudoku now. So I still need a 2, a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and an 8 and a 9. That one's not a 2. That one's not an 8. Okay, this is a lot more disappointing than I had hoped, if I'm being honest. Let's see. Still only one sum here. We will figure that out. This cell can't possibly be green, because look at this row. There's 3 sums. That's 2 of them. If this were the other, it would force these to be a 3-cell sum to 7 or 9. That doesn't work. And now that is going to put pressure on this column, because now, not quite. Almost. It puts pressure, but it's not quite resolved yet, I don't think. Row 11, column 8. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Okay, so Jay's point is if this cell is gray, the world falls apart. Because if this cell is gray, the second cell up from this is an 8, and that 8 goes next to a 7. That is delightful. So, in fact, that is always green, which I need to keep this sum apart from that sum. That sum is a sum to 26, so it needs 4 cells, so that comes over there. This column needs 3 clues, so that gets filled in. This is now a minimum of a 3-cell sum, actually, which is very interesting. So this is either a 12 or an 8. If it were an 8, this would have to be 125 exactly. I'm scanning to see if there's a reason this can't be 125 exactly. If there is, I don't see it. That has become a 9, by the way, for whatever that is worth. If this was a 12, could this possibly be green? This would have to be 1, 2, 3, 6 exactly. In that instance, I don't see a problem with this being 1, 2, 3, 6 exactly, although I don't suspect it is what actually happens. So if this 8 extends, then it would be a minimum of 9. It would have to, in fact, be exactly 9 because these two strings would have to be consecutive. But then how would I make this one cell add up to a digit that sums to 9? Because of this. That's really clever. So if this 8 extends, that is all forced. But Ambrose's point is that these two would need to be consecutive. The only way that would ever work is if this being a 1 and that being an 8. But that's not actually working because that's too many 8s in the column. So that is, in fact, always gray, which, in fact, makes that an 8. Which makes this a 7 or a 9. 7 or 9. This can't be a single cell 7 or 9, so this cell's always green. And in fact, actually, I can't make a single cell sum to 7 or 9 because of the column, so this has got to be a 2-cell sum to 7 or 9. Could this be 4 or 5? I don't see a reason why this can't be 4 or 5. Okay. This digit could be 6, 8, or 10 are the options, annoyingly. It is incredibly irksome. Let's see. Do I know anything about 4-cell 26 sums? I kind of suspect not. This now is 4 cells. So this is the thing I said about summing to 12. Because 4 cells certainly don't sum to 8. So this has got to be a 6. This has got to be a 12. Thank you. Thank you to Emily. And so now this is a 4-cell sum to 12 that doesn't have a 4 in it. And so the only such creature is 1, 2, 3, 6. Which I literally only know because I set the puzzle Unusual Suspects. That has just sort of like lived in my mind since then. So those aren't 3s. That one's not a 2 either. So this digit's a 1, 2, or 3 for whatever minuscule amount that is worth. So now this is a sum to either 7 or 9. So if this is a 6, it would go with a 1 only. And if this is a 1, it would go with a 6 or an 8. So this is always a 1-6 pair. It's always summing to 7 just by examining the possibilities for this universe. So this is 6 or 8 over here. There's already 3 sums in this column. That one, and that one. So this can't be green, or it would create yet another one. This 1-cell sum to 6 is a 6. By fancy maths. Let's see. 3 would have to go with that or that. Okay, this is a sum to 8. This is part of a sum to 8, so that's never a 9 at the very least. column 9 clues can be filled in. Ah, yes. Okay, so now I know that this is a 12. And this is a 9. So I have to make sure this doesn't sum to 18, 15, or 13. Ah, so this can't... Oh, annoyingly, no. This can be any of those, I think. Oh, this can't be a 2 or a 3, actually. It's being pointed out because of the quad next to it. So actually, this is an 8, which does finish the sum and finishes the row. Now, this column has only one clue, so that makes that gray. This is a one-cell sum to 7 or 9. That's not a 7, so it's a 9. Those aren't 9. That's not 8. So we've got all of that. Okay. This I don't know much about yet. So this being a 2 or a 3 is quite large because I need to get to 26. So these are only from 6, 7, 8, 9, and they definitely have an 8 and a 9 in them. And neither of those is an 8. So in fact, that has to be an 8 just to make this 26 sum possibly work. I see Emily is seeing the same thing. Now, this is part of a sum to 7 or 9. I guess that's not interesting. This is part of a sum to 6 or 8. So this is not a 9 itself because it's part of a sum to 6 or 8. So therefore, this is the 9. And so if this is a 6, this could be a 2 or a nothing. If this is a 7, this is a 1. Let's see. That clue is coming from somewhere. What is this sum now? 15, 17, or 19? Okay, so this clue needs to be 16 or 18 or 20. So that being a 3 would get me to 16, annoyingly. So I don't need to extend that. Yeah, row 9 does have to fit 3 clues, I agree. But I think I can do that a couple ways, as it currently stands in my mind. That 9 has filled in that 9. Thank you to, I saw that from Nicholas. That's now been filled in. So, yeah, this is a single sum, who knows? Well-chosen bet tree, it has been very resilient. Yeah, this is a sum to 6 or 8. 6 in row 8 placed. Because if that was a 6, that would be a 6, and there would be a white dot. Yep. Totally correct. So that is a 6 and a 1. So let's see. So this is a 1, 2, or 3. What can these cells actually be? Let's see. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I believe. This can be 1, 2, not 3, 4, 5. Could be 6. Could be 7. Can't be 8 or 9. Okay, so that was horrendous. But this is 1, 2, 3, or 4, or 5. Now, funnily enough, this cell can't be 2, because if this cell was 2, it would make that cell 1 or 3, and that would break the white dottage up here. Oh, this is a 1 or a 2. I haven't filled that in. The fact that that's a 1 or a 2 means this isn't a 1 for sure. Oh, wait, no, sorry, I misread that. Sorry, that was wrong. This is a 1 or a 2, but that being a 1 or a 2 means that's not a 1 or a 2. Yeah, I just grabbed the wrong cell. So this is 3, 4, or 5. Oh no, right. Sorry. I'm making the error that I was making before. Right. It can be 2, 2. 2, 2 is fine. I'm doing my usual negative constraint logic, but my usual negative constraint logic doesn't apply here. Okay, this can't be a 6 because it would make the sum 14. For what it's worth. It can't be a 5 because it would make the sum 13. 4 looks okay. 2 looks okay. 1 looks okay. Okay, down here we've got 12, 14, or 16. Oops. Neither of those do anything, I don't think. Oh, this one I can just fill in, right? Oh, no, this one is filled in. Okay, so somehow this became an... No, this is a 6 or an 8. I don't think I know yet what's going on there. Unfortunately. Oh, it's never a 7. Right, because if it was a 7, it would need a 1 above it, and it can't have a 1 above it anymore. So this cell's always a 6, which makes this cell always a 3, I believe, which makes that a 2. So this is... Oh, so now this can't be green, because if it was green, it would have to be a 2. So that is a 6. That 1 goes in one of these two cells. Oh, in fact, actually, now that is 3 strings in here, so that's gray. So that is the 1. So this can't be a 2, so therefore that's got to be green. This is 15, by the way. Okay, so we're in better shape. This still can't be a 1 or a 2 by the actual correct logic. Because if this was a 1 or a 2, it would be 2 1 2s next to each other that would be different. So that's really not a 1 or a 2. Oh, no, that's not the sum. Right. Sorry, you're right. You're right. This is not the sum. There's an 8. There is an 8. Annoyingly, there is an 8. That's true. Yes, I did completely forget the 8 and the 8 in the sum. Okay. Okay, so now the sum here is 15 or 16, but the sum down here is always odd, so it needs to be even up here. So this is a 3 by parity. And the fact that that makes this a 16 tells me that this isn't a 19, it's a 17. And the fact that it's a 17 tells me that this needs to be a 2, which makes that a 4. So no 4 there. That's actually really not a 3. Okay, so this sum is consecutive with 2 plus tree, I guess. So I probably need to figure out what the betting tree actually is. Row 10, column 8. I'm being told this can't be a 7. Ah, yes, because this is definitely consecutive. Oh, I actually know what this is now. I don't even have to think about it. This is a 16 now. I can't have a 15 next to a 16. So this is a 9 or a 10 are the only options. Okay, but if this were a 1 or 2, I would need my 2 plus tree to be consecutive with 3, but 2 plus tree is not consecutive with 3. So this is never a 1 or a 2. This is a 4 or a 5. So that tells me that this is a 4 or a 5. So this is a 5, 6, or 7 are the only things that I can make that. So this is a 4, 5, 6, or 7, or 8. It can't be a 4 because that would need to be a 2. 5 seems possible. 6 would make that a 4. That seems possible. 7 would make that a 5. That's not possible. 8 would make this a 6. That's not possible. So this is only 5 or 6. This cell can't be 6 by the negative constraint because 6 would go next to 12. So this cell is 6. And so now this is 5 or 7. So if this is 5, it's 4 and 1. And if it's 7, it's 5 and 2. How am I ever going to decide which of those it is? Obviously, I could fill in the bet tree, but that's just not classy. Row 8, column 7. It's not 3 anymore, I am being told. So if that's not 3 anymore, then that's not 3 anymore. So if this was 4, 1, then that would be 2, 1, and that would put 4 and 2 next to each other. So this can't be 4, 1. It has to be 5, 2. That's the point. Which resolves the 1 and the 2, which then makes that a 5 and that a 2. Wait, was that right? That doesn't sound right. I think I screwed that up. No, that wasn't right. That was wrong. It would be 4, 1, not 4, 2, sadly. Oh, okay. So I think we need to bring up the ketchup. So these are genuinely ketchup. Like these are the same. No, sorry. This is not ketchup. Sorry, this is the anti-ketchup. Because that's that one. And so the point is this digit sees both 1 and 2 by Kropke. So that is a 5. Because it can't be a 4. And if that's a 5, then that's a 2. Oops, not that. That's a 2. Which makes that a 2 and that a 1. And now we can at long last... Oh, sorry, we have to fill in this. This was a 10, it turned out. It's okay, Ambrose. Me too. I feel like I did pretty well in the first half of the puzzle, and then I kept getting confused about where things were and whether or not you should add 8 to the 2 or not in the second part of it. And so now we need to fill in our bet tree, which is a 4. and 12, and that is a 23 to finish there. I realized technically I could have argued without filling in the bet tree that the sum of the rows had to be equal to the sum of the columns. And so I could have said, I know the sum of all the rows from over here and then done it back over there. But that seemed like a little bit much to go through to avoid that. So congratulations to all of the 4 bettors out there. May all of your betting tree wishes come true. Oh, people saying I should fill in the 7 as an actual center marked 7, rather than as a center, or as an actual 7 rather than a center marked 7. It was a really lovely puzzle, Mixo. Row 7, column 4 also. Oh, row 7, column 4 just never got filled in at all. There we go. Gorgeous puzzle. I liked that a lot. So many cool steps. Which one was it? It was the, like, this would be 22 plus 23 if I wasn't careful. That was very cool. This bit with the coloring at the end was also really cool. When you convert a link from Penpa, the converter will copy the solution code. Yeah, the converter is quite smart. It really is, like, except for hexagonal Kakuru puzzles, there's no reason to use Penpa when solving anymore, I do not believe. Except for hexagonal, I guess, hexagonal Kakuru and hexagonal Philomeno. I've only done a few hexagonal Philomeno. All right. Somehow I feel like almost every hex puzzle I've done has been a Kakuru. Hex Star Battle. Oh, fascinating. Hex Star Battle. I've never seen one of those. I do still use Penpa mostly for setting, because I find Penpa for setting is very, very useful. I do feel like we're only moments away from being able to enter double-digit numbers in Sudoku Pad. But I am not at all bothered by writing double-digit numbers like this. But yeah, I suspect there will at some point be the ability to write double-digit numbers, because Sven is glorious. Let's see. Weird Philomeno Pyramid. Weird Philomeno Pyramid sounds fun. I feel like full rank. Why would the full rank Philomeno be hard to solve in Sudoku Pad? It seems hard for me to imagine that it would be worse in Sudoku Pad than in Penpa, but I might have to try it at some point. Oh no! Now Ambrose is going to set full rank hex puzzles. That sounds horrifying. Alrighty. Because you want to add outside the grid stuff so that you can take notes on the rows and columns. That makes sense. I can see how that would be nice. Like, the ability to just, like, click a plus button and have an extra row or column of notes is very nice, which is why I guess I really like setting in Penpa, is because I can do that sort of, like, oh, here, I'm just going to make myself some extra room for notes kind of thing. All right. I am going to take a quick break, and I will be back in just a moment with more puzzly goodness. So see you all shortly. All right, welcome back, everyone. Continuing my theme of doing my puzzles from ancient times. Let's see, when was this published? Let me double check. This was published July 12th of 2021. So we're still over 2 years in the past with the rate at which we've been going through my puzzles. So this is a Nabner. Yes, this is a Nabner Renbon puzzle. Yes, way before Nabner had a standardized color, and before before Nabner had a standardized color, and before region sumlines had a standardized color, since the color that was picked for region sumlines was almost exactly the color of this. Yeah, so I think I said several times on stream that I only set one Nabner puzzle, but I, in fact, set two Nabner puzzles, it would seem, which are this one and the original Nabner. And then I didn't set anything with it for over 2 years, and then I came back and set a string of them, and then they got their golden hue that they now have. Yeah, this was before Renbon. You at least now have the Renbon being purple, whereas we did not that many streams ago. We did a puzzle of mine that had Renbon in it before Renbon had a color, and so Renbon were gray or whatever. I'm gonna just drop a bet tree here. I have no idea if that's gonna turn out to be a good idea or a bad idea. We will see. We do have the original elven circle here in the zetamath puzzle. I think this is my first use of an elven circle or an elven square to use a puzzle. Although I think this one is yes, an early appearance of Alphonse before his shape had been standardized. Indeed. But unlike the traditional disambiguating circle, this circle is pretty clearly a part of the break-in. So I think that this circle is sort of how the puzzle gets started. Alrighty, so let's see how it goes. I have very little recollection of this puzzle. So this is a length 4 Renbon with a 3, so this is better be a 1 or a 5. These had better be 2, 4, or 6. So I'm seeing yeah, the like this is really tempting me to parody color, and I am not exaggerating when I say I have absolutely no recollection of whether whether this is a parody coloring puzzle or not. It always has a 4, that's true. I'm trying to ask myself if the 3 is going to end up on the Nabner line or not, or if that is going to tell me anything interesting. If this were a 5, it would be really nasty for what it would mean for this this Renbon, because it would force this to be either all high or all low, but I don't know that that's immediately a problem. Let's see. I'd love to know some cell that's definitely on some Nabner somewhere. That seems like it would be really helpful, but the Nabner definitely needs at least 1 of 1 and 9. Yeah, once I've finished these, I'm definitely going to go back and start doing a reaction series to doing that. Aha, there we go. Okay, Garion has has a great spot, which is that 8 and 9 in this box have to go somewhere, and therefore 1 of 8 and 9 goes over here. And if 1 of 8 and 9 goes over here, that means that this Renbon is from 6, 7, 8, 9. There we go. Yeah, so therefore the 3 does actually go over here. And if the 3 does go here, then that means there's definitely a 2 here, because I can't put a 2 anywhere in the box but here. Okay, so this is now a 2-4 pair on here. Well, 4 we already had corner marked in the box, so the 4 was less exciting than the 2. But agree. Let's see. So yeah, we've got the 3 there. So there's no 2 or 4 here. I'm trying to pay attention to evens on this Renbon because of those 2 evens pointing at it, which seems to be perhaps relevant, but I don't 100% know. If this is a 1, then what is this? Is that a problem? I don't think so. Microstudy says this always has a 4. Right, because this can't be 6, 7, 8, 9. And as soon as it's not 6, 7, 8, 9... Well, it always has a 5 at least. Oh, and it can't be 5, 6, 7, 8 either, because that would make these double 9. So this always has actually a 4 and a 5. Right, because of the fact that I need to put some low digits in this column somewhere. So yeah, so if I make this 6, 7, 8, 9 or 5, 6, 7, 8, both of those break that pair. So there's a 4 and a 5 up here for sure. Oh, right. Sorry, there doesn't have to be a 5. It could be 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it could be 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, I'm starting at the wrong end. Could it be 1, 2, 3, 4? Maybe. Although, funnily enough, what I know is that these form a quintuple together. These are a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 quintuple. No, that's not true. Don't listen to me. Never mind. But it's a virtual 1, 5 pair. That part's true. Virtual 1, 5 pair. Because there's got to be a 1 or a 5 on here. And so these digits aren't 1 or 5, but I don't quite know what to do with that as of yet either. And now I do know there's this sort of ye old coloring trick of knowing that there's a yellow down here somewhere. I'm trying to decide if I can do anything with this, because this seems like the sort of thing that 2 years ago Zeta would like. I mean, this is the sort of thing that today years old Zeta would like. So I assume 2 years ago Zeta would have liked this as well. Is there a reason it can't go there? I don't know. Because if this is... Yeah, there's some interesting interplay here. We know there's a 2 or 3 on that Renbon in column 3 because both can't be on the Nabner. Right. Okay. Right. Okay. So that's very smart. Okay. So Garian's pointing out 2 and 3 in this column can't both go here. So there's definitely a 2 or a 3 on here, which means there is a 3 on here. So now there's a 7 in one of these cells, I suppose. Yep. So Chester found the Garian deduction a different way, which is to say, if this is 4, 5, 6, 7, where do the 2 and the 3 in the column go? And the answer is they'd go there. Okay. So at most 1 of 2 and 4 goes on this Nabner. Sorry, on this Renbon. This Renbon can't have both 2 and 4 on it. Can I do anything with that? That means it doesn't have 3 on it, right? Right, so the 3 is actually in this column. That's the point, right? There's not room for both 2 and 4 on this Renbon, and so it can't have a 3 on it. And so the 3 can't go any of these places. So the 3 goes one of these, but the 3 also goes there. So in fact, that's a 3. That is our first digit. Wait, am I wrong? Maybe I'm wrong. Wait, could it be 3, 4, 5, 6? Oh, crap. Maybe it could be 3, 4, 5, 6. Darn it. Nope, I'm wrong. It could be 3, 4, 5, 6. Uh, uh, you are correct. Can't have a 1 or a 2. Yeah, because of that, it can't have a 1 or a 2. Uh, so one thing I'm noting is that these 3 digits, one of them definitely has to go on this renbon, but I don't think that that's very interesting off the face of it. Oh, I would definitely make this a Z. That's true. Completely correct. 'So what am I supposed to see here? The 3 corner mark definitely seems like the thing I was supposed to see. If I really do put a 3 on here, then it would have to go 3, 4 there. That would eat up all the 3s and 4s from both of these boxes. So there would be no 3 or 4 on the Nabner. That doesn't sound great to me. That sounds like that's going to be a problem when I get to figuring stuff out later. Uh, 6, 7, 8, 9 also seems very useful. But not quite. It's definitely an 8 or a 9 there. I believe that. Am I supposed to ask where these 2 digits go in the column or something? That doesn't seem quite reasonable. Let's see. So, 8. Okay, so Playmaker says this is always a 3 or a 4. Because if it's not, then, right, okay, so if this is not a 3 or a 4, then these are a... Oh, Lord, this is confusing. If 3 and 4 both go up here, then just by Sudoku, there's a 3 on here, but there's nowhere for a 4 because the 4 sees that whole thing. So this is always a 3 or a 4 specifically. Uh, uh, isn't it only a 1 or a 9, Paul Fly, and not a 1 and a 9? Three, four, five, six. So Carl is looking at if this is 3, 4, 5, 6. Then yes, that's true. Right. So I guess yeah. So that sounds right. So yeah. So that's pushing. So it always makes sense to ask where the digits on a Renbon go in a box with a Nabner line, because I can't put more than 2 of them. Right. I guess this is a different way to put it. What's the most number of digits from this Renbon I can put on this Nabner line? And the answer is 2. And so, therefore, at most 2 of those digits go on the Nabner, so 2 of them have to go there. And so 2 and 4 are on here. So that would have given us the 2 and the 4 were on there right away if we just asked Carl's question to start. So that is handy. So now now it is true that this is 1 2 3 4. This is a 1 2 3 4 5 quintuple in the column, and so these are from 6 7 8 9. And so therefore these digits now, because those are taking up the 6 7 8 9 numbers, I now have these being from 1 2 3 4 5. The micro study approved dash notation. So yeah, so there's a 1 or a 5 up here. So there's no 9 on this Renbon at the very least now. There's no 1 or 2 or 9, right? Because if there's a 3 on this Renbon, then we said the only way it works is for it to be 3 4 there, 5 6. So there's no 1 or 2, and there's now no 9, because if there was a 9, it would need these. So now this Renbon is from 3 4 5 6 7 8. 3 4 5 6 7 8. And so that forces some digits onto it, right? So that's 6 possible candidates that can go on it, and so 5 and 6 now always live on this Renbon, right? So yeah, yellow is definitely not 3. That's true. But 5 and 6 always live on this Renbon, so there's no 5 and 6 in these cells, I think is the point. I mean, I don't know if it's the point, but it's true. So these cells are not 5 or 6, and they're not 2 because we've already corner marked the 2 in the column. So I don't know that that's exciting. Oh, there's no 4 either because there's a 4 in the column. Oh, in fact, none of these are 4 actually by the column while we're at it. no 4 in it in box 5. I mean, I know that one's not a 3, at least. Yes. Okay, so now where do the 5 and 6 go? Okay, Carl has the right question now. So 5 and 6... Wait, couldn't I put the 5 here and the 6 up here? Is there a problem with putting the 5 and 6 split, one there and one over there? Uh, uh, good spot. The 1 and the 2 now, just purely Sudoku-logically, the 1 and the 2 are over here. Which is interesting. So these digits are at least 4, at least. Also true from Sayori. We can corner mark 1 in one of these 2 cells only. Yellow isn't 5. That's true. We just know that yellow goes in one of these cells, and so yellow can't be 5. If this cell's 4, this cell is 4. And then we've got 2 and 3 up here. Okay. If yellow was 8, J40's pointing out, then I would need a 6 down here, but I would also need a 6 here, and I can't have 2 6s going on. So in fact, we actually now know, for whatever good it does, that there's definitely a 5 here. So now... No. So if 9 is here, it makes these two 7, 9, with that being an 8. Break the box for Renbon. Okay, so the point is these aren't 6, 8. Because if these were 6, 8, this Renban would not have 2 even digits on it, and this Renban is supposed to have 2 even digits on it. And so if these are not 6, 8, then we need a 9 in one of these two cells. That is Garian's point, which I agree with. So therefore, these are not 9. And if there's a 9 in those two cells, there's not an 8. And therefore, there is an 8 in one of these two cells. So that's not 8. And now, if there were not a 9 on this Nabner line, then it would have to be 1, 3, 5, 7 because there's no 8 on it. And so that doesn't work because that digit is a 1, 3, 5, or 7. So there's definitely a 9 in one of these cells. Okay, let's see. Playmaker says if yellow is 4, then the Nabner line in box 4 sees a 2, 3, 4 triple. In box 4? Oh, sorry, box 1. Yes, because 2 of 2, 3, and 4 are here. So that would make a 2, 3, 4 triple. Right. Okay, so yeah, so if this is a 4, then we see a 2, 3, 4 triple here. And so the only option for what this would be 1, 5, 7, 9. And that doesn't work because 1, 5, 7, 9 rules too many odds off of this because there has to be more than one odd in this. And in the version where this is 4, remember, this is 4. Right. Okay, so that doesn't work. Okay, that makes sense. So this is never 4. So that's never yellow. And so if this is not 4, there's no 3 here. And so that makes this a 5, 6, 7, 8 Renban straight up. And so if this is 5, 6, 7, 8, then these aren't 7 or 8 in the column. Makes these 1, 3, 9 exactly. Makes this neither 1 nor 9 over here. And so now 1 in this column now goes in the circle. And Zach would again like to request that setters stop making 1s the first digit. But we will do Zach's 1 dance. Ba-boop ba-doop. Woo! Ba-doop ba-doop. Wah! Ba-doop ba-doop. Ba! Ba-doop 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 ba-doop. Wah! Thank you, Zach. I'm sorry that 2 years ago, before you were born, I put a 1 as the first digit in the puzzle. Okay, so now 3 in box 7 is looking up. Ah, right. Where does 3 go in this box? This is now a 3. And so this is 2, 4, 5 now. Just by the column alone. So there's no 4 over here. There's no 5 over here. So these eat up my 6, 7, 8, 9 numbers. So there's no 9 down there. So that's the 9. Because I only get 2, 6, 7, 8, 9 numbers. And so in fact, that's a 6, 8. Which has now made that a 7. Made these a 7, 9. Made these a 6, 8, which has made that a 7. None of these are 7 anymore. Making these a 1, 2, 4 triple, I am being told. Which I filled in an unconventional order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 down here. And so this must just be a right-in, right? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is a 7. Like that. You know, the funny thing is I'm sure I wrote a solution path for this. So I'm going to have to look at what the solution path said you were supposed to do for the break-in afterwards. Because I feel like the break-in we did in some capacity. Can there really be a 3 on this Renbon? Because I'm noticing that 3 in this box is pressed into one of these cells. If there was a 3, it would have to be 3, 4, 5. Sorry, it would have to be 2, 3, 4 with a 1, 5 there, I believe. 7 is pressed onto this Renbon. Okay, that's good. And 8 and 9 in this row. 8 and 9 in this row are both in this box, and they're not both on the Nabner, so 8 and 9 are there. And one of 8 and 9 is here. Oh, so in particular, that tells me exactly what the Renbon is, right? Because 8 and 9 can't go there if 8 and 9 are being here for the row. So this is actually 7, 6, 5, 4 exactly. And so these digits are only, in fact, these digits are a 1-2 pair because they're not 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and they're not 3. These are just a 1-2 pair. Which makes these from 1, 2, and 8, 9. No, sorry, which makes these 3, a 3 for sure, and an 8 or a 9. Okay, and so now 1 and 2 in this row are now interesting because now 1 and 2 aren't going over here either, and so the 1 and 2 have to go exactly here and there. So we have that looking like that. My phone is ringing. So these are now just a triple of 4, 5, 6. And if 4, 5, 6 are missing from a length 4 Nabner, that has to be 1, 3, 7, 9. And the 3 has to go there. So these are 1, 7, 9, looking over and making that a 2 and a 1. The 7 looks over, making that not a 7, making that 4, 5, 6. That 4, 5, 6 triple makes that an 8 and a 6. Means those are not 6. This is now a 4 or a 5, so it tells you this doesn't have a 4. This is not a 4 or a 5, for whatever it is worth. These are a pair of 2 and 8, I believe. Alone. There's no 3 on this Renbon now, so this Renbon now is from 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Just because of the lack of 3s on it. Let's see. So in this column, the 1, 2, and 3 are gone. So what's left in this column is 4, 5, 6, 8, and 9. But I know this is never an 8 or a 9 because there's already an 8, 9 on here. For whatever that is worth. Oh, right. There's also a 3 on there, so this is never a 4. So this is a 5 or a 6. So this digit must be awfully restricted, right? Because this could be 1, but it can't be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, And so then the other option, oh, or 7. So this is a 1 or a 7 only. Which sounds like a meaningful deduction, but I'm not sure it does a gosh darn thing. If I am being completely honest. Let's see. 2 in this row is now getting awfully crunched, but not completely so. There is no 1 here for sure, at least. Okay. I'm being told if this is a 7, I run out of options for what happens to this renbon. So if this is a 7, then I need all of these digits to form a oh, I guess so. Okay, here's how I'd say it. If this is a 7, these are a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 quad. Sorry, sextuple. Because these would all need to be less than 7, because you couldn't use an 8 or a 9. But where would the 6 be? Well, not there. So the 6 would be on here. So this would be 4, 5, 6, but that doesn't work. So this can't be a 7. So this is always a 1. Okay. So now I have 4 of the numbers from 1 through 6 spoken for in this box. So therefore, this renbon has on it a number that's at least 7. So this is from 5 through 9 only now. And in particular, it always has a 7, I suppose. Let's see. No 5, because if it had a 5, it would also have a 6. Good spot. So, in fact, it has a 7 and an 8 on it. So, no 8 there for sure. It can't have both 8. No, maybe it can. I was noting if it has both 8 and 9 on it, then that sells an 8, 9. Oh, good spot from microstudy. Now we have a sextuple the other way. Now we have a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 sextuple. And so this is always a 2 or a 3, and it's not a 3. So that's a 2, and that's a 3. And now 3 can't go next to 4 on a Nabner line. So that's a 5, and that's a 6. And so this is 7, 8, 9. This is an 8 or a 9, because it's the 8 or a 9 that's up here, needs to appear in this column. It can only appear there. That's the 3 up here. It's not 5 or 6. This 4. Oh, in fact, this is just 4. It's not even 4 or 9. That's a 4. This is not a 5. These aren't 4. It's not a 6. Let's see. These aren't 6 or 4 anymore. In which case, this certainly can't be 4 anymore. Okay, there are better reasons why that couldn't be 4 anymore. Actually, there's a 7, 8, 9 triple in this row now. So this is not 7, 8, or 9. So this is only 5 or 6. If it's a 5, though, it doesn't work at all because I need a 6. So in fact, this has to be a 6. And so if this is a 6, then we could go 7, 8, or we could go 5, 7. We never get to 9, though. 9 is just a fever dream. So therefore, that's a 9. But it's a big 9, not a little 9. So we get all of that. The 7, 8, 9 triple also sees this cell, says Nicholas. So that's a 5, an 8, and a 6. meaning that's really a 5-7 pair. Meaning I'd better have an 8 on here. If I don't, these are not even possible. So there's definitely an 8. And then the other digits are for 1 each from 1, 2, and 3, 4. So this digit can't be from 1, 2, 3, 4, and it can't be from 7, 8, 9. So this is a 5 or a 6 only. I don't think I know which one it is. Let's see. Oh, the 7, 8, 9 triple is still there. So that places the 8, actually. Even better. So these are... Oh, and that's a 2 and an 8. And these are, again, from 1, 2, 3, 4, just because there's nothing else that could be. But they're not 4. So these are from 1, 2, 3 only. And so they are a 1, 3 pair, going ahead and making that a 2 and a 1. Unfortunately, that doesn't resolve what happens with that. Let's see. There's a 7 over around here somewhere. There's a 3 in here somewhere. Let's see. What is left in this box? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I get that 2 is the only digit missing from this box. I guess it's 2 and 4. 2 and 4 are missing from this box. 2 does not work here, though. Because if this digit's a 2, I would need a 1 or a 3 to go with it, and it can have neither. So that's a 4. And so these are a 5, 6 pair now, which has made that a 4 and a 7 and a 5 and a 6 and a 5 and a 4. And a 9 and an 8 and a 7 and a 9 and a 7. So we can do that. Almost assuredly there has to be a 2 down here, but maybe I should fill in this naked single first. In fact, that naked single is a 2. So never mind about there having to be a 2 down there. These digits are something, something, and something. One of them's a 1. One of them's a 4. Yeah, and there's an 8 or a 9 in there. But there's a 5, 6 pair in this row, making that an 8 and a 6. Making that a 5 and a 6. Making that a 5. Making that a 7 and a 5. Making that a 4 and a 6 and a 5. Let's see. Oh, so those aren't 5. So that is... these digits are very restricted. Very, very restricted. That one's an 8 or a 9, so this one just has to be a 4. So there's no 3 on this line. So there is a 3 on this Renbon now. And the 3 can only go with a 2 because there's a 4 there. So these are, in fact, a 2, 3 pair, and they go in that order. That was classy. 9, 3, 8, 9, 1, 4, 8. So there's no 7 on it either, so that's a 7. 9 and 8, 1 and 3, 9 and 1 and 7. So now we can get these. So that is a 1 and a 9. And our bet tree is a 2. So congratulations to all the 2 bettors out there. May all your betting tree wishes come true. The break in there was slightly gnarly. Let me see if I can pull up my solution document real quick. Because I'm pretty sure I wrote down a solve path for this. Let me see if I can find it so we can look at what on earth I had in mind and whether or not it was exactly what we did. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, there's my jelly solve path. There we go. Forwards and backwards solve path. Let's see what my solve path said. Let's see if you can see this. Yeah, you can see it. Okay. So okay, so okay, so first thing is the first thing in the solution guide is Carl's point, which is that if you look at where this this yellow stuff goes, two of them have to go on the Renbon. And so exactly two appear on the Nabner. Means the two red cells are also on the yellow line. Okay. Okay, and then now we have scary words. A bit more thought reveals that the two red digits either be two consecutive digits from the middle run of digits of the yellow line, or must have a gap of exactly one digit between them. Okay, well, they definitely aren't consecutive because that would break the parity. Right. I seem to have not had, when I wrote the original version of this, it was meant to be done without the odd circle, but the odd circle made this part more obnoxious, it would seem. Okay. So we got that. So yeah, so we didn't. So in the original version was even worse. Oh God. Add clues, people. Add clues. Okay. Other hand of the okay. So this solve path is perhaps a little bit gratuitous because of the fact that it was done without the odd. 3 in box 4. Yeah, this you can tell this was clipped out of F puzzles rather than out of Sudoku pad because I was just taking screenshots out of F puzzles and becoming less and less good at aiming as I did that. Okay, yeah, we even have the we even have the exact step of if you put a 4 here, you put a 4 here, and it breaks because. So even that part that we did. So it seems like we actually followed basically the intended path through all of this to get through this. So I think we ended up. I'm just sort of scanning to see how many other things we got here. Yeah, so I think we followed the intended path. I think the intended path just had an ugly step. Is my conclusion. Yeah, there's always the like download screenshot thing, but anyway, just interesting to look back and see like, did I really intend that step or did I have some nicer way to do it? And it turns out I intended an even worse version of that step because I didn't even have the odd circle there. Alrighty, I'm going to take a quick break and be back in a moment with more puzzling. So see you all in just a moment. Alrighty, welcome back. We have a Math Pesto double arrow, it looks like. Or as Ranks referred to it earlier, Ranks is proposing to rename double arrows. Let me see, what was the exact wording? Let's see. Ranks wanted to rename them, the sum of the circles is the same as the sum of the lines. The rules of double arrow are that the sum of the circles has to equal the sum of the digits on the line between the circles for every pair of or every line between two circles. So my original observation is that this line is pretty long. And so, in fact, the absolute minimum sum of these cells is 11, which means that these digits need to sum to at least 11, which means they're certainly from 5 or 6. And this is certainly, therefore, only a 1 or a 2, because at absolute most, this is 12. So if these are a 6 and a 6... Oh, even better. Sorry, even better. This cell's also on the line. So in fact, actually, the minimum is 12. So these need to be 6 and 6, with those being 1 and 1. These being 1, 2, 3, 4, and that being a 5. Thank you, chat. That would have been bad. Because I was about to note, now there's only one way to make 12 if these are 6 and 6, which is now actually a relevant deduction, because those are now 3, 4, 5. So these are now 1, 2, 6. It's not a 6, it's not a 1, of course. So now okay, so this can't be a 1, because that would make these need to be 1, 2, 3. So the 1 is certainly in one of those cells in this row. Let's see. There's a 1 or a 2 on this line. Because there's only 1, 1, 2 here. Right. This also can't be 2, actually, Ambrose points out. For the same reason, if this was a 2, these would be 1, 2, 4. So this is at least a 3, where it could be 1, 2, 5 exactly. 4 or 5. If this is 5, is that really possible? I'm not sure yet. There is a 1 in one of these two cells. I think it almost assuredly is there. If there's no 1 on this line, it would have to be something like 2, 3, 4 going to 5. Yes. Okay, so Garian's pointing out I can't put a 1 on here at all. If I try and put a 1 here, the maximum it could be is 6, which would require a 0 there. So in fact, that's a 1, and there is a 2. But now the maximum I can get to is 2, 5, which puts a 1 there. Which now puts a 1 there, puts a 1 there. Puts a 5 there. Like that. So now these are at least 2, 3. So this has to be a 4 or a 6 only. Because of how big it has to be. This isn't a 2 either. This is a 3 or a 4. Let's see. So if there's no 6 on this line, I guess this digit would only be able to be 2. Yes, 6 in box 3, as Sayori spots. Because I can't put 6 on this line where the maximum sum... If I put a 6 on this line, the minimum sum would be 8, which doesn't work. So, in fact, that is the 6. Which now certainly means this isn't 3 anymore. Because now the minimum sum here is 9. So this is 4 or 5. And this is 2 or 3. So the options are 2, 4, and 3, 5, neither of which breaks the by value above, which is what I was guessing would happen, but it does not. I was just thinking about a triple arrow puzzle earlier, so you might get your wish for a triple arrow puzzle. If this is a 4, that's a 6, which is, true. Oh, 5 in box 6 is placed. And now 6 in row 5 is placed. Very nice. Good clue placement. So now these have to be 3-4 because they can't be 2-5. And so now that's a 5 and a 3 in order to make that work, which makes that a 4 and a 2 and a 5 and a 3. So there's not 3. This is now a 2 and a 4 and a 2. This now had better not be a 6, so that's a 6. And so so that's a 2 and that's a 6. So that's a 2. These two are a 3-4 pair. If that's a 4, that's a 3. I guess these are a 3-4 pair as well. So the easy way to do it is if I know these are a 3, 4, 5, 6 is to sum 3, 4, 5, 6 to 18. And that tells me the sum has to be 9 because it has to be half that. 3, 4, 3, 4, 3. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 2. Very, very lovely puzzle to math pesto there. I quite liked that. What you can just do is just draw cages, and every cage happens to have 3 circles on the boundary, and the sum of the cage is the same as the sum of the 3 circles, but some cages touch more than one circle. It's pretty easy to do triple arrows. I don't think that'll be too difficult. I think triple arrow should be there. Antimatter lines, yeah, the antimatter lines are definitely an underexplored constraint that people should set more puzzles with. Absolutely, I highly recommend combining antimatter lines with the latest setting challenge. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap up stream there for today. Thank you so much to everyone for hanging out. It's been a good day of puzzles. Do remember to check out Emblem if you're so inclined. It's posted over in the zetamath Discord, so you can just go have a look. Really am going to remember this one for a while. This Mixo puzzle was quite a thing. All right, but thank you everyone for watching. Thank you to everyone who supports the stream. If you want to support the stream, the easiest way to do that is to click the join button down below. Is something wrong?
No.
Okay. So for as little as $5 a month, you can support us. We greatly appreciate all of you who do that. It helps us a lot with the streaming and all other things. So thank you so much. We also like to thank the turbines every time. So the people who donate at the top level. So that is David, Nordy, Franco, Woofer, DDX, Daniel, Willie, Danita, Nell, and Dorlir. Thank you so much. I really loved your puzzle earlier, Dorlir and Marty, by the way. That was great. So thank you so much to everyone for watching and hanging out. And I'll see you all next time. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.